Chapter 1196. Ancestor Mother World. Ancestor Mother felt his heart trembling with fear. He carefully looked at Dongbua Shuang who stood in the sky. How could this Dongbua Shuang be so powerful? Ancestor Mother felt slightly uneasy. Suddenly, from the void, two green sword lights stealthily entered the body of Ancestor Mother. Ancestor Mother's huge body trembled before disintegrating without a sound. At this moment, the two sword masters appeared by the side. They were watching everything coldly. For the sake of absolute certainty, both of his great bodies moved at the same time. Sword Master cultivated a supreme secret importation. Even without any supreme-graded secret treasures or chaotic origin weapons, his strength was at least 30% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's standard. Killing a level 2 Cosmos God? He could easily do so in a single move. Ancestor Mother died just like that? Dongbua Shuang sighed. He still remembered the cosmos he was born in. The Ancestor Mother religion had invaded his cosmos and brought about a calamity. And now, the origin of the Ancestor Mother religion in the entire origin world, Ancestor Mother, had been killed just like that. She had lived in seclusion for a long period. She should have accumulated many things and many techniques, yet everything was futile in front of absolute strength. Even the final realm Emperor Jun could not resist against the current Sword Master. So what could Ancestor Mother do? Go. Sword Master transmitted, let's go to the ancient sacred world. Chase Sacred Master away. Dongbua Shuang was looking forward to it too. They dared not delay for fear that Sacred Master would sense the danger. Ancient sacred world. Because the war started by Emperor Jun had ended, even Dongbua Shuang who was protecting this place had left. How could this be? The black muslin-robed Sacred Master sat cross-legged on his black stone bed. He felt complex in his heart. Emperor Jun did not succeed in destroying the world and did not obtain the bestowment from the Supreme Law. He was naturally happy to see this scene. But the strength of Sword Master and Dongbua Shuang still troubled Sacred Master. They are growing too quickly. Sacred Master did not dare believe it. It is fine if it's Sword Master since he has cultivated for a longer period. But how long has Dongbua Shuang cultivated for? And he is already at the final realm? Since when was it so easy to reach the ultimate realm? Or is he really a monstrous talent? The Holy Lord even had a premonition. Even if they entered the next era, the one after the next era. If he were to compete with the Sword Master and Dongbua Shuang, his chances of ultimately grasping the Supreme Law were slim. With their obstruction, it will be even more difficult to spread the faith in the next era. Sacred Master thought to himself, that Dongbua Shuang is even more proficient in the Mirage and Illusory realm. His control over souls is not any weaker than mine. But he did not know that the current Dongbua Shuang had reached the level 2 Cosmos God realm in the Mirage and Illusory realm. I have to give up on the path of preaching. I'll comprehend the other Daos and try my best to control as much of the universe's source as I can. Moreover, if I cultivate multiple Daos at the same time, I might be able to combine them and finally break through with strength. Holy Master calculated. Although he felt the pressure, he didn't give up. Because he was clear how difficult it was to jump out of the cage. That Sword Master and Dongbua Shuang would most likely not be able to jump out of this cage in the next era. It is hard to say who would be the final victor. Sacred Master felt another strand of fluctuation. What is going on? Unless he is still chasing after Emperor Jun? Didn't Emperor Jun escape? Sacred Master immediately followed the fluctuation and discovered the Ancestor Mother world. The Ancestor Mother of the Ancestor Mother world had died. But before he could be shocked. So. Two treacherous green sword lights had already pierced into the body of Sacred Master. The sword lights came too suddenly. Sacred Master did not have the time to evade them given his strength. His body was directly blasted apart. Hung Long, in the vast ancient sacred world, Dongbua Shuang also appeared in midair. He executed the killing move from Feishui combat technique, the chaotic origin ocean. The black light that dissipated from Sacred Master's body converged in the distance. Being a destruction devil, his survival capabilities were not any weaker than Emperor Jun. He looked at the distant Sword Master and Dongbua Shuang with shock and fury. Damn. Sacred Master was infuriated. He knew it. Sword Master and this Dongbua Shuang had dealt against Emperor Jun before coming to deal against him. His ancient sacred incarnation had been completely consumed during the battle with Old Monster Stone. Currently he had accumulated very little. Even if he had accumulated a lot, it was useless against Sword Master. Escape. Sacred Master had almost instinctively chosen this path. Emperor Jun had used many battles to prove one point. Against Swordmaster, he could not resist at all. The more they fought, the heavier his injuries would become. So. The ancient sacred incarnation and sacred master had almost instantaneously fused into one. Furthermore, with a thunderous roar, a maelstrom passage was torn in space. He tunneled in and disappeared from the vicinity. Chase. It was the same method as chasing after Emperor Jun. A slightly weaker avatar of Dongbo Shuiying brought along two Sword Master avatars and teleported to chase after Sacred Master. At the same time, they were chasing after Sacred Master. And in the ancient sacred world, there were three powerful avatars of Dongbo Shuiying. Hong. A vast illusory realm descended. This illusory realm was far smaller than Dongbo Shuiying's void domain. For a void domain, a powerful avatar could envelop the entire ancient sacred world. As for the illusory realm, three great avatars had to work together to barely envelop it. I have to hurry and save them. The three great avatars of Dongbo Shuiying enveloped the entire ancient sacred world with their illusory realm. Every living being in the ancient sacred world, from the weakest to the strongest lightning cosmos god, all of them fell into it. That cosmos god was merely a level 1 cosmos god, and Dongbo Shuiying had fused 4 branches of the Tao of Mirage and illusory realm together. He was just a step away from reaching the final realm. How terrifying was his illusory realm! So, that strand of energy. Falling into the illusory realm, many living beings in the ancient sacred world did not resist at all. Their souls did not resist either. They were obediently controlled by Shuiying. That strand of energy imprinted on their souls was carefully permeated by Dongbo Shuiying. That lightning cosmos god is slightly troublesome. I've successfully permeated it. Isolate them completely. First, isolate them before gradually destroying them. Isolating them was to prevent Sacred Master from relying on this strand of imprint to kill these believers. It was not just the ancient sacred world. Some places like the Nine-Cloud Great Land where the ancient sacred religion was stronger were also arranged for avatars to head over. But those places were much smaller than the ancient sacred world. The number of believers in the ancient sacred world occupied 90% of the total believers of Sacred Master. It was because the ancient sacred world was too big. Sacred Master was being pursued by Dongbo Shuiying and Sword Master. He was filled with rage. He had never thought of massacring his own believers. Instinctively, he felt that the believers were the source of energy for his ancient sacred incarnation. Why would he kill them? How dare they? How dare they? Sacred Master was filled with grief and indignation. It had been too long. Over the long years and even the previous eras. He was used to being high and mighty. He was used to being feared by many experts. This habit had persisted for several eras. At this moment, when he was thrown off his throne and was being pursued like a stray dog, Sacred Master felt a great humiliation. But it was futile no matter how furious he was. That Sword Master's strength completely suppressed him. And Dongbo Shuiying's Tao of Void prevented him from escaping. Sacred Master, you can't escape. Those three figures appeared once again. By then, the sword light had already swept past his body. Sacred Master's body exploded once again. I'll be pursued no matter where I escape to. Sacred Master did not know that because he needed to execute the illusory realm world, Dongbo Shuiying had already sent his 3 great avatars guarding the myriad ancient sacred world and ancestor mother world to the ancient sacred world. But Sacred Master was escaping. Naturally, he would hide in some desolate places. He would not take the initiative to go to the few great sacred worlds. Who? Oh. The sword light whistled. Being attacked time after time, Sacred Master's life force was rapidly depleting. In just a short moment he was attacked 5 times consecutively, causing his life force to be depleted by 30%. After all, 2 great bodies of Sword Master were working together. I can't continue like this. I can only go to the Lost World corridor. Sacred Master felt grief and indignation, yet he could only choose the same path as Emperor Jun, so. A terrifying thunder tore apart a passage. Sacred Master followed this passage and entered the Lost World corridor. Lost World corridor. This was the breeding ground of the destruction devils, and also an extra-large maze. The space here was strange and unfathomable. So. Dongbo Shuiying and the other 2 figures arrived here. Lost World corridor. Dongbo Shuiying frowned slightly. Other than the pressure in the surroundings, there were strange changes in space. There were even many spatial ruptures. He had just probed a small region, but because of the ruptures, his domain was severed. Many ruptures were constantly changing, causing this place to turn into a huge maze. It was hard for cosmos gods to find destruction devils here. This was also a form of protection given to the destruction devils by the supreme law. We can't find him. Even if we spend a lot of time and effort to find Sacred Master can just casually tunnel in, and we can't find him again. Let's go. He can only hide here. We can easily chase after him at other places. Dongbo Shuang said. Let's just let him hide here. Sword Master nodded with a grin. Within a sealed space within the Lost World corridor. Sacred Master was all alone here. Sacred Master looked at everything silently. He felt sorrowful in his heart. He had actually ended up like this. He was chased to the point where he had no path to heaven and no door to earth. He could only escape into the Lost World corridor. And this Lost World corridor was actually suppressing him. Only those destruction devils born in this era with the mission of destruction would not be suppressed in the Lost World corridor. Am I going to end up like this? Sacred Master stood there. Suddenly, my believer. Sacred Master suddenly sensed it. Several avatars of Dongbo Shuang had seeped into the illusory realm at the same time, isolating all imprints left behind in the illusory realm. Even though it was not 100%, at least 99% of the imprints left behind by his believers had been isolated. How could he break my soul imprint? Sacred Master did not dare believe it. He was chased until he hid here. Even his believers had been taken away? Everything was gone? Even in the next era of the origin world with his great enemies Sword Master and Dongbo Shuang, his days would similarly be miserable. At this moment, Sacred Master felt his heart turning slightly cold. I'm not willing. The calm expression of Sacred Master became distorted. It revealed the side of him as a destruction devil. His body was covered in black fog. He growled, I'm not willing. His roar reverberated in this lonely space. Chapter 1197. After the Holy Lord let out a crazy roar, he gradually quietened down. His eyes were cold. With the rage and killing intent in his heart, he really wanted to slaughter the large number of believers he controlled. Although Dongbo Shuang had already isolated 99% of the believers' imprints, the ancient saint religion had been spreading their religion for a long period of time. Their area of influence was too wide. There were even some universes and inconspicuous primal chaos lands that were spreading their religion. Dongbo Shuang could only save those that he had found out from his intel. The anger in the sacred leader's chest was rising, but he did not slaughter them. Firstly, these believers could still provide him with some faith. Secondly, he wanted to use this opportunity to learn about the changes in the various sacred realms. If his believers were all dead, then he would truly become a blind man who knew nothing about the outside world. You really hit it well. Sword Master has not only reached the final realm, but his strength has also far surpassed mine. It seems that my guess is correct. He must have obtained the Realm Heart Order. A cold glint flickered in the Saint Master's eyes. You've always been low-key and never experienced life and death situations. How could you have reached the final realm? It's fine if you've reached it, but how could you have such strength out of nowhere? And that Dongbo Shuang. In the past, I was able to control him, yet he chose to commit suicide. I thought he had some secret technique, but from the looks of it now, it should be the Realm Heart Order. Sacred Master thought, previously, the one who entered my ancient sacred world to save his wife Jingqiu must be him. I'm still wondering where this mysterious expert came from. Realm Heart Order. The Saint Lord gritted his teeth. He had lived for many eras and had long heard of the legend of the Realm Heart Order. In the past eras, there were cultivators who obtained the Realm Heart Order and reincarnated into the Realm Heart Great Land. But of those who obtained the Realm Heart Order, not a single one reached the final realm. Those who obtained the Realm Heart Order were usually young absolute geniuses. Be it Dongbo Shuang or Sword Master, they had obtained the Realm Heart Order at the Primal Chaos realm. A genius primal chaos expert reincarnating into the Realm Heart Great Land, ultimately wanting to reach the final realm? The hope was very slim. I didn't expect to meet two of them at once in this era. Holy Master felt sullen. He had lost too much. He, the Holy Lord, had no way to retaliate against the combined forces of two peerless experts. He could only rely on the Lost World corridor to survive. In the ancient saint world, the three figures of Dongbo Shuang hovered in the air above different regions of the ancient saint world, casting their illusory worlds to descend upon the world, causing all the living beings in the ancient saint world to fall into their illusions. Every single one of them was immersed in it without any resistance. allowing Dongbo Shuang to control everything. If there was the slightest bit of resistance, then the isolation imprint would fail. Whoosh 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 whoosh. In the skies of the ancient saint world, a series of figures appeared one after another. The thin and small old monster stone, the white-haired male sword master, forefather Tianyu, void primogenitor, blade emperor, Jiezu, Wuzhu, devil mountain primogenitor, great emperor cloud serpent, Junyi Fazu, jade light master, ancestor bone, and many other cosmos gods appeared. They looked at the distant white-robed young man Dongbo Shuang who was standing in midair with his eyes closed. They also looked down at the vast land below, and at the many sentient beings who had collapsed on the ground. Be it humans or beasts, cultivators of all races fell into a deep slumber. The ancient sacred world was unprecedentedly quiet. Those who completely believe in Sacred Master have an imprint on their souls, yet they can still be saved? Blade Emperor sighed, amazing. The moment Ancestor Mother died, the believers she controlled regained their freedom. And since Sacred Master isn't dead yet, we can only help them one by one. Sword Master chuckled, fortunately Snow Eagle has great attainments in the Mirage and can save them. Even though the ancient sacred religion and Ancestor Mother religion are two great religions, the ancient sacred religion has more followers than the Ancestor Mother religion. Emin? Everyone present nodded. This is a huge contribution. Forefather Tianyu sighed. I hope there won't be any problems during this process. Wuzhu was carefully watching. They were clear how troublesome it was when the soul was involved. In the past, the moment the soul was imprinted, it was practically impossible to save them. Asking Sacred Master and Ancestor Mother to release them? Or killing Sacred Master and Ancestor Mother so that the believers could regain their freedom? Or forcefully isolating the imprint like Dongbo Shuang? In the past, none of these three methods were practical. And now, Ancestor Mother died. Sacred Master could only live by hiding in the Lost World corridor. Many ripples appeared in the world. In midair, Sword Master, Old Monster Stone, Forefather Tianyu, and the others held their breaths as they watched. They could feel the strange ripples. Wear them down. Dongbo Shui Ying's three great avatars were doing their best to wear down those imprints. Disperse. At this moment, countless sentient beings in the ancient sacred world. This ancient sacred world was about 1/100th the size of the primitive ancient sacred world. At this moment, all these sentient beings had shed off their shackles. The imprint in their souls dissipated. All of them had finally regained their freedom. Many sentient beings in the ancient sacred world emitted ripples from their souls. Those were ripples of joy, ripples of freedom, ripples of liberation. Cultivators were born with freedom. They were born to pursue freedom, freedom, and freedom. They were enslaved for countless years, generation after generation. For the sake of Sacred Master, they did not hesitate to kill their loved ones and even commit suicide. They were no longer cultivators. Even though they were alive, they were like walking corpses. Only at this moment did they truly shed off their shackles. That sort of freedom that originated from their souls and made their hearts clear was what they should have. Many souls were instinctively cheering. This cheering caused Old Monster Stone, Sword Master, Forefather Tianyu, and others who were watching from the ancient sacred world to feel shocked. Souls, they were originally mysterious. Many souls finally regained their freedom. That instinctive cheering caused a ripple that engulfed the entire ancient sacred world and these cosmos gods. They were all influenced by it. They could feel their souls trembling in excitement. Freedom. Freedom. It was not just the ancient sacred world. At this moment, many humans, mutated beasts, and cultivators from other races who were saved in other places like the Nine-Cloud Great Land regained their consciousness. They shed tears, tears of excitement, tears of joy. Even though their souls were branded over the long years, they had always been conscious. It was the same for generations. The strangest thing was that they were like puppets, but they still believed in Sacred Master from the bottom of their hearts. Only at this moment did that strange feeling dissipate. Only then did they feel true freedom and joy. From this moment onwards, I am me. The only lightning cosmos god looked up into the sky. Through the spatial obstruction, he could see the distant white-robed male. Even though many cultivators did not know who saved them, they felt gratitude from the bottom of their hearts. They were grateful to the other party for saving them from the dark abyss. In midair, the three Dongbo Shui Ying's eyes were still closed. He and his other avatars had saved many sentient beings. When those sentient beings regained their freedom, their souls were instinctively cheering. The simultaneous cheering of countless souls shocked even Old Monster Stone, Sword Master, and others. Dongbo Shuang could feel it even more intensely. Wave after wave of cheering assaulted him. Soul. Freedom. Dongbo Shuang unknowingly shed tears. He was moved to tears. He was moved to the soul's desire for freedom. At this moment, Dongbo Shuang fused the 5 branches of the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. He had found a direction to fuse the final branch, soul. Previously he did not even have an accurate direction. But now he found a direction. The countless souls are the true foundation of this origin world. The will of the sentient beings can influence the will of the origin world. As for enslaving the sentient beings, this path is wrong. Dongbo Shuang even had a feeling that even though there was hope of gaining the faith of the sentient beings to control the supreme law, he had a feeling that enslaving the sentient beings was not wrong. However, he had a vague feeling that while there was nothing wrong with making all living beings believe in him, enslaving souls was something that violated some sort of taboo on a deeper level. Dongbo Shuang had a premonition that this path was destined to not allow him to control the supreme law. For example, Yuan, Lord Lo Cheng, and the others did not have much attainment in the Tao of Souls. Dongbo Shuang was currently standing at the highest level of the Tao of Souls across the countless dimensions. However, this was merely a premonition of his. When I fuse the 5 branches, I might be able to understand more. Dongbo Shuang thought to himself. Before this, he was not confident of fusing the 5 branches of the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm to the final realm. But today he saw the direction and gained confidence. As long as I have sufficient time, I might be able to walk to the final realm on this path. Dongbo Shuang opened his eyes. Looking at the cultivators in the ancient sacred world who were filled with gratitude and joy, he revealed a grin. He had saved many sentient beings. And the sentient beings had also pointed out the Tao path of soul cultivation to him. Drinking and pecking. This was also a form of the operation of the laws. Snow Eagle. Haha, delightful, delightful. This is the happiest day of my life. The sacred master who has always been threatening us is so frightened that he hid himself for the sake of survival. Ah. A voice could be heard from the distance. Old Monster Stone, Sword Master, Forefather Tianyu, and the other cosmos gods had arrived. They were all filled with smiles. On this day they saw the death of the evil ancestor mother, and the sacred master who had been wreaking havoc across the entire origin world like a stray dog. On this day they saw the liberation from the great apocalypse. On this day they saw Sword Master and Dongbo Shuang reaching the final realm. On this day they saw close to 10% of the sentient beings who occupied the entire primal chaos void regaining their freedom, and heard the cheers of many souls. All of them felt delighted and comfortable. They had never felt so delighted before. Dongbo Shuang chuckled. He went up to welcome them. Chapter 1198. Within the great void heaven temple, within a garden filled with fragrant flowers and birdsong, a group of cosmos gods gathered here. They were drinking and enjoying themselves. Come, 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 Snow Eagle, let us have a drink. Void Primogenitor leaned by the side of Dongbo Shuang. He sat on the grass and drank from a cup of wine. It's a pity your teacher can't see today. If he could, he would definitely be happy. Dongbo Shuang softly nodded. His teacher Guqi. He died in the hands of Sacred Master. It's a pity that he could not kill Sacred Master now. Even if he reached the final realm, it was impossible for him to do so. Perhaps only when he reached the final realm in his Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm, would he have some hope of killing Sacred Master. This was only a guess. Because nobody in the Realm Heart Great Land had ever reached the final realm in the Tao of Soul. Your teacher loves to be free and unfettered, yet he is compassionate towards the masses. That is why he went against Sacred Master. Void Primogenitor muttered to himself. He relied on his Tao of Void techniques to escape the moment things went awry. Nevertheless, Sacred Master did not place him in his eyes in the past. The moment he became angered, he could use the ancient sacred incarnation, and Sacred Master could not resist at all. I want to take revenge for Guqi too, but I'm afraid of dying in the hands of Sacred Master. Dongbo Shuang was listening by the side. That's right, before he and Sword Master became stronger, they could not do anything against Sacred Master. They had always been on the defensive. World Master and Wu Zhu could still fight against him head-on, yet they could not do anything to Sacred Master. As for experts at the level of Old Ancestor Tianyu and Void Primogenitor, they might lose their lives if they were careless. They could only rely on their protective treasures to forcefully endure the attacks for an instant before fleeing. They would either seek help from the Realm Lord, Blade Emperor and the others. How pitiful. He had been sulking for such a long time. No matter what, he can only hide in the Lost World corridor. With Sword Master and Snow Eagle around, that sacred master can only hide forever. Devil Mountain Primogenitor said with a grand voice. Aha, I've been cultivating for so long. I'll have more companions in the coming days. Old Monster Stone grinned. I could tell that the two of you had extremely high comprehension abilities, and both of you had hopes of attaining the final realm before the great calamity. It's just that I didn't think that the two of you would reach the final realm so quickly. I'm afraid we'll be companions for a long, long time. Dongbu Shuiying and the Sword Master looked at each other. The two of them were clear that firstly, they had the opportunity bestowed by Lord Lo Cheng. Secondly, they had obtained a supreme-graded secret importation from the Realm Heart Great Land. With these two factors supporting them, they improved faster than what Old Monster Stone estimated. Furthermore, Dongbu Shuiying had not reached the final realm yet. In order to intimidate Emperor Jun and Sacred Master, Dongbu Shuiying and the Sword Master had also come to a decision. This misunderstanding of him, Shuiying, reaching the final realm, would continue on like this. Tao of Void Final Stage. The domain was powerful. It would prevent Emperor Jun and Sacred Master from having any thoughts of struggling. If they knew that Dongbu Shuiying had relied on his avatars to barely envelop a large portion of the primal chaos void, Sacred Master and Emperor Jun would most likely come and create chaos. I have to reach the final realm as soon as possible. Dongbu Shuiying thought. Whether it was to save some of his loved ones from the origin world before the great calamity, or to find another path of survival, or to increase his deterrence towards Sacred Master and Emperor Jun. Or was it to increase his deterrence towards Sacred Master and Emperor Jun? He had to increase his strength as soon as possible. The current status of the Great Void Heaven Temple was incredibly high because it had two final realm experts. But Dongbu Shuiying and the others did not continue creating a sacred world for the sake of not exhausting the origin energy of the primal chaos void. Instead, they maintained order and allowed the origin world, primal chaos void, to last longer. A stick of incense was lit. The fragrance permeated the meditation room. Dongbu Shuiying sat cross-legged by himself. His consciousness began to move closer to the Supreme Law. Finally, Dongbu Shuiying could faintly sense a unique space within the Supreme Law. It seemed to be infinitely small, so small that Dongbu Shuiying could not even sense it with his void techniques. It also seemed to be infinitely large, as though it existed everywhere in the entire origin world. Dongbu Shuiying's heart moved. His consciousness easily entered this unique space. This was the core of the origin world, the origin space. It was similar to the world core of the Xia people's world. However, it was even more mysterious. Only spiritual consciousness could enter. Any material substance would not be able to enter. Its size could not be judged by the size of a normal material. Dongbu Shuiying could only sense that within this mysterious origin space, there were many colorful clumps of origin energy intertwining with each other. They seemed chaotic, but in reality they were circulating perfectly. Every clump of origin energy represented a Tao. When the primitive ancient sacred world shattered, much of the origin source energy of the origin world had dissipated, condensing into many origin worlds. At that time, the origin source was already greatly damaged. That was why the Lost World Corridor appeared, giving birth to the destruction devils that represented destruction, causing them to accelerate the destruction of the entire origin world. The instinct of the origin world was to nurture a sufficiently powerful and perfect world. Even though its strength was greatly damaged, the laws remained supreme. Amen. Dongbu Shuiying's consciousness observed the colorful clumps of origin energy. They intertwined with each other, and there were others within you. It was hard to determine how many clumps of origin energy there were, because some clumps of origin energy intertwined with each other. For instance, light and light. These two great origin energy overlapped with each other in many aspects. For instance, phaseless and boundless. These two origin energy overlapped with each other in many aspects. And there were two clumps of origin energy that made him feel familiar and close. One clump of origin energy was the most vast. It permeated the entire origin space, and it was the Tao of void origin energy. The other clump of origin energy was illusory and unfathomable. It also permeated a huge region. Furthermore, it was more mysterious and seemed to permeate deep into some of the origin energy. It was the mirage and illusory realm, origin energy. Fuse. Dongbu Shuiying first took the initiative to fuse his consciousness into the Tao of void. Hong. A vast amount of information charged against his consciousness. It was vast, broad, and all-encompassing. As long as one reached the level 2 Cosmos God realm in the Tao of Void, he would be able to brand his soul imprint and control this strand of origin energy. Dongbo Shuiying was just a step away from reaching the final realm. Hence, it was much easier for him to brand it within a few breaths of time. After that, Dongbo Shuiying spent the time taken to brew a cup of tea to brand his soul imprint on the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm origin energy. Judging from this angle, even though he was just one branch away from fusing together, his accumulations in the Tao of Void was much deeper than the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. As long as I could brand more than half of the origin energy, I could rely on it to grasp the supreme law and become a chaotic origin lifeform. Dongbo Shuiying sighed inwardly. Reaching the level 2 Cosmos God realm in a Tao? That was difficult. Like Sword Master, Ancestor Fan, Apocalyptic God Emperor, Eternal Knight Primogenitor, and many others who reached the final realm, many of them desired to become Cosmos Gods in the Tao of Void. That way they could refine several avatars. But they had no other choice. After all, every cultivator had different experiences in their path of growth. They had different personalities, Tao hearts, opportunities, and their understanding of the world. All of these decided that they were good in some Tao paths and bad in others. It was hard to reach the Cosmos God realm in a Tao, much less the level 2 Cosmos God realm. More than half of the origin energy? Ignoring the competitors, just the fact that more than half of the Tao paths had reached the level 2 Cosmos God realm was enough to make any final realm cultivator feel despair. Grasping 2 strands of origin energy would allow me to control these origin energy for my own use. Dongbo Shuiying shook his head inwardly. To a level 2 Cosmos God, a strand of origin energy could increase his strength by quite a bit. However, to him, who possessed the battle prowess of a final stage cultivator, this bit of origin energy was nothing. It's a pity that I can't comprehend it in detail. All the origin energy intertwined and fused into one entity, forming the complete supreme law. Dongbo Shuiying could not focus on comprehending a single strand of origin energy. He could only barely see the vast supreme law. It was too complex. Compared to comprehending the supreme law, it should be easier for me to break through and become a chaotic origin lifeform before grasping the supreme law. Shuiying thought. It was said that he grasped hold of the supreme law, yet nobody had the confidence to comprehend it because it was impossible to do so. The hometown origin world regained its peace. Sacred Master and Emperor Jun no longer caused any trouble. They might have accepted their fate and waited for the next era. In the next era, the origin world would give birth to a huge land. Under the peak of the origin energy, the land would be vast, and the suppression from the supreme law would be strong. Even final realm cultivators would be dreaming if they wanted to envelop the entire origin world land with their domain. By that time, the two of them were still confident of fighting against Dongbo Shuiying and Sword Master. And it was relatively quiet over at the Realm Heart Great Land. An avatar of Dongbo Shuiying continued cultivating under the Burning Heart God Tree. Seeing the Tao path of fusing the 5 branches together, he naturally focused on the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. His goal was to reach the final realm. The effects of cultivating under the Burning Heart God Tree were great. It was sufficient for one avatar to cultivate. And the other avatars continued researching the Tao of Void. His accumulations in the Tao of Void were already deep. He was already researching the 6th killing move. Dongbo Shuiying had no other choice. He had already used up all his world flowers. Currently, he could only continue accumulating and accumulating until he took that final step. Chapter 1199. Realm Heart Great Land within a secluded garden. Hua hua hua. One hand was holding onto a flask of wine, and the other was holding onto a wine cup. He was currently pouring wine for himself. Garbed in a luxurious golden robe and crown, Undying Underworld Emperor was currently seated cross-legged. He was currently pouring wine for himself. He was concentrating on enjoying the taste of the wine. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the void by the side. He was none other than the humanoid insect ancestor. Insect ancestor? The eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor brightened. He immediately placed down his wine cup and asked, "Are you here because you have gathered everything? Where is the thing I want?" Insect ancestor took out a piece of translucent amber-like substance. There was a scarce amount of 7-colored liquid flowing within. He directly threw this strange item over. Undying Underworld Emperor revealed a look of joy the moment he saw it. After receiving it, he inspected it thoroughly while saying, "Rest assured. How can I violate the oath we made? Woo 100 drops. Woo 100 drops. Not a single drop is too much. You're really stingy, aren't you? However, it's still considered pure. Haha, insect ancestor, you're indeed a great general under the Devouring Realm Great Emperor back then. The Devouring Realm Great Emperor really treated you well, allowing you to obtain his legacy. You even managed to gather 100 drops of this Devouring Realm spiritual liquid. South, Undying Underworld Emperor flipped his hand. A wristband appeared in his hand. He threw it over. This is what you want. I have already prepared it for you. Good. After Insect Ancestor received it, he inspected it thoroughly before revealing a look of joy. Then I'll be leaving first. Haha, if you want any other treasures, you can always come and find me. You can use the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid to exchange for them. Undying Underworld Emperor said. If there is a need, I'll definitely come and find you, Your Majesty Underworld Emperor. Saying that, the pair of crystalline wings behind Insect Ancestor flapped slightly. He then disappeared from the place. For him to take out 100 drops, the huge benefits left behind by Devouring Realm Great Emperor in the past have most likely landed in his hands. Undying Underworld Emperor watched as Insect Ancestor disappeared. He muttered to himself. He then revealed a grin as he looked at the strange item in his hand. His eyes lit up with excitement. I've finally gathered everything. I've spent such a long time gathering everything. The Devouring Realm spiritual liquid was collected by an unparalleled existence, Devouring Realm Great Emperor, from the higher dimension chaotic origin dimension by relying on a supreme graded secret treasure. Every single drop was very difficult to collect. This was the best ingredient for the Devouring Realm Great Emperor to groom the insects. It was for the insects to consume. If the insects wanted to reach the Cosmos God level, the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid was the most effective. However, ever since the fall of the Devouring Realm Monarch, the Devouring Realm spirit liquid had become a legend. Back then, although the Devouring Realm Great Emperor had been surrounded and killed, he had managed to hide his most important item before dying. But from the looks of it now, it had been obtained by the Devouring Realm Great Emperor's general, Insect Ancestor. Insect Ancestor only dared to reveal this because he had reached the final realm. Eternal Night has nurtured 3 final realm resentment spirits, the Origin Blood of Extreme Night, the Sacred Fire Rock, sent over by Sacred Fire City Master, and the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid, from Devouring Realm Great Emperor in the past. Furthermore, I have long gotten a perfect chaotic origin life-form corpse. The eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor were emitting light. He was incredibly excited. Now, I'm just lacking the final sacrifice to provide sufficient energy before I can succeed in refining a Death Walker. In the past, I've painstakingly refined a Death Walker. It's a pity that I lost in that gamble. I had to let the Death Walker fight against the great enemies before I could escape back. Undying Underworld Emperor recalled the past. His blood was boiling. He began stepping on the path to become a chaotic origin lifeform. This path was not just him. Many experts from other origin worlds were also stepping on the path to become a chaotic origin lifeform under the guidance of Underworld Emperor. At the start he still received some help. But after 3 consecutive failures he no longer had any help. Like many other experts who failed, he began struggling in despair. It was already fortunate that he could sacrifice the Death Walker to escape back to the Realm Heart Great Land. Fortunately, I still have a chaotic origin lifeform corpse. The moment I succeed in refining it, it would be a half-chaotic origin lifeform body. That is my strongest technique. Relying on it, I'm confident of venturing into the Broken Teeth Mountain range. Undying Underworld Emperor revealed a grin. By relying on some opportunities in the Broken Teeth Mountain range, I might be able to break through by force. This path was too difficult. As long as he could get help, he would naturally think of other ways. Eternal Night Primogenitor, Extreme Night Primogenitor, and others feel that I am slightly stronger than in the past. But it is merely slightly stronger. Over the long years, I have experienced many life and death trials before researching the refinement method of the Death Walker. That is my greatest achievement. Undying Underworld Emperor thought. In the past, some of those who walked on that path of his had fallen. There were also some outstanding cultivators who chose to walk on some unique paths. Even though they chose the wrong path, they still managed to forge a half-chaotic origin lifeform body. Undying Underworld Emperor did not choose to do so. Because the moment he took that step, his path of becoming a chaotic origin lifeform would be severed. Hence, he continued perfecting the refinement method of the Death Walker. He collected many techniques of those who walked on the same path as him and even experimented with some materials, Finally, he pushed this refinement method of the Death Walker to a higher level. Only by using the corpse of a chaotic origin life form as the foundation would the Death Walker be strong. Only after experiencing everything did Undying Underworld Emperor understand that there was a huge gap between chaotic origin life forms. For instance, those who cultivated all the way from a weak young age had great control over the Tao, and even had an origin world as their foundation. That was tyrannical. And some innate chaotic origin life forms had clumsy control over the Tao. They purely relied on their instincts. And some of the weaker ones, he could fight against them even with a supreme-graded secret treasure. Naturally, he would be at a disadvantage. The realm Heart Great Land is created by Yuan. Yuan is one of the most ancient chaotic origin life forms that practically stands at the apex. He isn't any weaker than Lord Lo Cheng, who broke through with his strength. Undying Underworld Emperor experienced many things outside. Only then did he understand the status of Lord Lo Cheng. I've heard that in the past, Yuan had thrown the corpse of a terrifying huge snake that heavily injured him into a certain world in the Broken Teeth Mountain range. The eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor were filled with desire. Broken Teeth Mountain range was most famous for the corpse of that huge serpent. Whatever Broken Teeth Serpent bead was merely the most unremarkable part of that huge serpent. The Broken Teeth Mountain range was too dangerous. The more important a place was, the more dangerous it would be. Even though Undying Underworld Emperor had entered it many times, he did not dare to barge into some forbidden grounds. If he had the Death Walker, he would be more confident. Deep into the night, at the boundary of the realm Heart Great Land, on a nameless desolate mountain, a handsome young man wearing a luxurious golden robe and a crown descended. It's here. The crucial moment has arrived. Undying Underworld Emperor waved his hand. Hong hong hong. Bronze pillars appeared out of thin air, and a total of 16 bronze pillars pierced into the ground. They kept growing thicker and thicker, and in the blink of an eye, they were like 16 pillars that supported the heavens, standing in all directions of the barren mountain. Hong long. Undying Underworld Emperor waved his hand again, causing an incomparably huge four-hooved mutated beast corpse to appear on the desolate mountain. Its body was covered in inscriptions. Its 4 limbs were bound by shackles. Currently, these shackles were rapidly connected to the 16 sky-piercing bronze pillars. The shackles were also covered in inscriptions that shone with the inscriptions on the surface of the corpse, forming an enormous seal that suppressed the entire corpse. Extreme Night Primogenitor is ordinary in other aspects, but its origin blood is quite rare. It is many times stronger than the blood of body cultivators. Undying Underworld Emperor praised. After all, the true body of Extreme Night Primogenitor was a sea of blood. A huge cauldron appeared in front of Undying Underworld Emperor. This cauldron contained 9 precious sacred fire rocks. Activating it slightly, a pale white flame rose. Following that, Undying Underworld Emperor carefully controlled the cauldron. One could see a lump of blood sphere, the size of an ordinary human, floating above this cauldron. It was being burned by this pale white flame. Chi chi chi. Many inscriptions were flashing on the surface of the blood sphere. And within the sphere it was being burned into nothingness. Gradually, a unique green light appeared within the liquid. In the end, it turned into a green crystal the size of a fingernail. Undying Underworld Emperor held his breath. Go. He pointed. This green crystal flew towards that enormous corpse of the chaotic origin lifeform. Chapter 1200. Because he had once refined the Death Walker, and this refinement technique was created by Undying Underworld Emperor, after overcoming many difficulties, it was naturally easy for him to do so. Chi, that green crystal fused into the body of that huge 4-hooved mutated beast. Undying Underworld Emperor carefully watched by the side. Only after an hour did he feel a slight change in the aura of this 4-hooved mutated beast. Everything is as expected. After refining the origin blood, the pure and enormous life force has finally induced some vigor in this corpse. Devouring Realm Spiritual Liquid Go. Undying Underworld Emperor grabbed the amber-like item and threw it out. That item flew above the 4-hooved mutated beast corpse. Under the control of Undying Underworld Emperor, a drop of 7-colored liquid flew out from the amber-like item, into the body of the 4-hooved mutated beast corpse. One could see the inscriptions imprinted on the surface of this corpse being activated. The moment the 7-colored liquid touched the corpse, it was immediately absorbed and transformed. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. Undying Underworld Emperor carefully fed it. This chaotic origin life-form corpse gradually gained some vigor. Its aura was fluctuating and rolling. But with the suppression of the surrounding arrays, it did not spread outwards. After spending 4 hours, the 100 drops of devouring realm spiritual liquid were completely fed. The abdomen of the chaotic origin life-form corpse was now heaving up and down. It was panting and its breath engulfed the surroundings. Nonetheless, it did not have any consciousness. Ultimately, he had to control a chaotic origin life-form corpse. Even though it was a low-graded chaotic origin life-form, it was not something ordinary methods could control. Most puppets and weapons could easily develop spirituality. Instead, it was much harder to make the corpse of a chaotic origin life-form to develop spirituality. This is the most crucial moment. There shouldn't be anyone in the realm Heart Great Land who dares to disrupt my sacrificial ritual rite? The eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor were filled with cold light. Whoever dares to obstruct me, I'll exterminate them. Activate. Undying Underworld Emperor formed a seal in front of his chest. He was doing his best to control the inscriptions imprinted on this corpse. That enormous chaotic origin life-form corpse that was lying there breathing strangely suddenly had 3 black maelstrom appearing at its chest and abdomen. Hurry up. With a thought, Undying Underworld Emperor threw out those 3 final realm resentment spirits. The final resentment spirit represented the pinnacle of resentment spirits. It was the most terrifying resentment spirit that Eternal Night Primogenitor had captured and nurtured after torturing countless souls. Resentment spirits were truly powerful souls. They were filled with endless resentment, hatred, and killing intent. This resentment and hatred was sufficient to kill primal chaos experts. Cosmos gods could not reach this stage just by relying on anger. No matter how terrifying the 3 ultimate vengeful spirits were, they were instantly devoured by the 3 black vortexes without any ability to resist. Each of the vengeful spirits howled. They were unwilling, but they could only fall into the black whirlpool. No, kill. The 3 black maelstrom expanded after devouring the final realm resentment spirits. Every black maelstrom had a diameter of 500,000 kilometers. It was quite eye-catching on this enormous chaotic origin life-form corpse. Within the black vortex, the face of the ultimate vengeful spirit would occasionally appear. Every single face was howling in pain. After all, they were currently being burned and used as energy. Come. Undying Underworld Emperor revealed a crazed look of excitement. Long. The surrounding nations occupied a huge area. Even though they were located by the boundary of the realm Heart Great Land, the total area was still huge. At this moment, a black sinister array appeared in the sky above these regions. Currently it was daybreak, yet this sinister array had covered the entire sky. It was boundless, and the region it covered spanned across 15 nations. Within this region covered by the array, many cities were located. Regardless of whether they were humans, mutated beasts, or plant life forms, cultivators of various races could feel a dark, devouring energy acting on their souls. Some of them were sleeping, some were cultivating, and some were doing manual labor. But at this moment, all of their souls had left their bodies uncontrollably. So painful. They felt a pain as if their souls were being sliced by a knife. What happened? What happened to us? They looked around them. They were currently flying up. Many souls were flying up. Looking down at the cities below, they saw many fleshy bodies collapsing there. No. Regardless of whether they were infants in the womb of their mothers or kings who had reached the cosmos god realm, their souls were being drawn out of their fleshy bodies uncontrollably. Trillions of souls were flying up in a city. In the capital of a country, the souls were densely packed and blotted out the sun. They were also being sucked toward the same direction. Many souls were suffering from an intense pain. They were struggling and howling, yet it was futile. Even cosmos gods could not struggle free. Of the 15 nations affected, 12 of them were covered by the array. The number of living beings was simply unfathomable. Many souls were being devoured towards a single point. Come. Undying Underworld Emperor stood in midair controlling everything. A large number of souls were directly teleported over. They were being devoured by the 3 great black maelstrom floating above the enormous corpse of this chaotic origin lifeform. This devouring had to be done step by step. Undying Underworld Emperor was responsible for providing food by teleporting the souls from different regions over on a large scale. And now these souls were flying. They were merely affected by the devouring and were naturally flying over. It should be sufficient with so many souls. I reckon it will take at most 12 days before I ignite the final realm resentment spirits and sacrifice the living beings to stimulate the spirituality of this chaotic origin life-form body. Once its spirituality is formed, I can easily refine it into a death walker. Undying Underworld Emperor was looking forward to it. What? This. Across the entire Realm Heart Great Land, final realm experts were much more sensitive to the world. Their understanding of the laws was also deeper. When this sacrificial array began erupting, they could feel it. Madness. This is simply madness. Emperor Summer, who was located in the royal palace of Summer Wind Ancient Nation, watched this scene from afar. Relying on his attainments in the Tao of Void, he was able to see the uncountable number of souls flying across the 15 nations. This scene made his heart turn cold. He immediately thought of a person. Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor was a terrifying evil existence before the First War of the Ancient Nations. Undying Underworld Emperor was vaguely the strongest unparalleled existences. He represented death. Many sentient beings had died because of him. In the past, the overall strength of the Realm Heart Great Land was not as great as it was now. None could threaten Undying Underworld Emperor. It's him. Emperor Summer saw that terrifying chaotic origin life-form corpse bound by those 16 enormous bronze pillars. He also saw those 3 enormous black maelstrom devouring large amounts of souls. It's Undying Underworld Emperor? I've heard that he has been very tyrannical in the past. World Extermination God Emperor sat on his throne watching from afar. Currently he was publicly recognized as the most tyrannical unparalleled existence. It's just that when he saw how extravagant Undying Underworld Emperor was, how many souls were flying and how that chaotic origin life-form corpse was, World Extermination God Emperor could not help but feel his heart clenching. There was still a gap between them. For instance, an intact corpse of a chaotic origin life-form was something no other expert could take out in the entire Realm Heart Great Land. How could he do this? Limitless City Master was furious. Admirable, admirable. Moonflower King watched from afar. He revealed a grin. Undying Underworld Emperor is indeed amazing. The moment he returned, he is already so extravagant. His plan actually requires the corpse of a chaotic origin life form. Where did he get it from? Did he get it from the Broken Teeth Mountain Range? Or did he get it from the outside world? Eternal Night Primogenitor and Extreme Night Primogenitor were also watching from afar. They had helped to provide some resources, albeit they did not know what Undying Underworld Emperor was planning. And now they finally understood. This is? Insect Ancestor watched from afar. His expression changed slightly. He asked for the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid just for this? A madman. The 3 old ancestors from Icy Snow Ancient Nation sneered as they watched from afar. They walked on the Tao of breaking through with strength. They disdained such things. Even though many final realm experts discovered it at the first instance, only 3 of them acted. South, south, south. 3 figures appeared almost at the same time not too far away from the enormous corpse of the chaotic origin life form. They were none other than Emperor Summer, Limitless City Master, and Towering Sky King. Emperor Summer even controlled the void, causing the souls that were originally teleported to stop moving. Stop. Emperor Summer roared. Chapter 1201. This time, the disturbance caused by Undying Underworld Emperor was too huge. It affected a total of 15 nations. Dongbu Shuiying and some other cosmos gods might not be as sensitive as final realm cultivators, but as the enormous array revolved, they could still sense it. Even primal chaos existences who were closer to the 15 nations could sense it. This is. Dongbu Shuiying was originally seated below the pavilion. But now he abruptly stood up and looked towards the distant void, using the Destruction Realm teleportation to observe. He could see a huge calamity occurring at the boundary of the Realm Heart Great Land. Looking at a city, he could see many souls. Looking at another city, he could see many struggling souls. Innumerable souls covered the entire sky as they flew. Swordmaster, do you know what is happening? Dongbu Shuiying transmitted a message to Swordmaster. He also asked his teacher, Southern Cloud King. After all, his Destruction Realm teleportation could only observe one location at a time. Amen? He found it. Following that terrifying aura, he found the origin. That was the corpse of an enormous 4-hooved mutated beast. This corpse was shackled by 16 bronze pillars. There were 3 enormous black maelstrom on it, with souls howling from within. There were also many souls fixed in midair by the maelstrom. Emperor Summer, Limitless City Master, and Towering Sky King were currently confronting a handsome young man wearing a luxurious golden robe and a crown. It is Undying Underworld Emperor. Swordmaster transmitted over. Undying Underworld Emperor seems to be executing some kind of sacrificial technique. That corpse is the corpse of a chaotic origin lifeform. He is currently using the souls of close to 15 nations around him, including the cosmos gods of those nations, as a sacrifice. The moment the sacrificial ritual began, Emperor Summer and the others came to stop it. This is madness. Dongbu Shuang paled. Sacrificing so many? Compared to the technique of Undying Underworld Emperor, sacrificing an entire city was not worth mentioning. How many cities were there in a nation? Close to 15 nations. That should be equivalent to 1% to 2% of the population in the entire Realm Heart Great Land. The Realm Heart Great Land was much more prosperous than his hometown origin world. On one hand, it was because his hometown primitive ancient sacred world was shattered, causing a huge damage to its origin source, causing the population to be less than what it was during the era of the primitive ancient sacred world. Secondly, the Realm Heart Great Land was created and protected by Yuan Xian. Hence, the number of cultivators here far exceeded ordinary origin worlds. Just 1% to 2% of the population in Realm Heart Great Land was comparable to 10% of the population in his hometown. Back in his hometown, he had fought against the sacred lords and saved countless lives. He had also saved about this many people. He could not forget the impact formed by the instinctive cheers of countless souls. Sacrificing so many lives? Dongbu Shuang was infuriated and in disbelief. Everyone said that Undying Underworld Emperor represented death. But when he saw it with his own eyes, he was still shocked. How dare he? Dongbu Shuang was infuriated. Under the attention of Dongbu Shuang and many other cosmoses, and the influence of this matter was too great, many primal chaos existences knew about it. For a moment, many experts across the entire Realm Heart Great Land were paying close attention to that nameless desolate mountain. He was paying attention to whether Emperor Summer and the others could stop Undying Underworld Emperor. Emperor Summer, I've heard that you are the strongest unparalleled existence in Realm Heart Great Land in this era? The handsome Undying Underworld Emperor chuckled. You are not bad for being able to cultivate 2 Daos to the final realm. But you are still too tender. Emperor Summer's expression sunk slightly. He roared out, Underworld Emperor, you actually used a secret technique to devour so many souls that it affected 15 nations? How many nations are there in the entire Realm Heart Great Land? You are too overbearing. If you act like this, Yuan will most likely punish you. Underworld Emperor, you have just returned not too long ago. It is best for you not to be too overbearing. Killing so many lives is a huge sin. Limitless City Master solemnly added. Towering Sky King added, Underworld Emperor, I do hope that you can show some mercy to these weaklings. Undying Underworld Emperor sneered, Alright, let's not talk nonsense. This sacrificial ritual is very important to me. None of you should obstruct me. He extended his right hand. Flames began rising from his palm. The flames contained destruction and deathly stillness. The expressions of Emperor Summer, Limitless City Master, and Towering Sky King changed when they saw this. From this technique, they could discern that Undying Underworld Emperor was not any weaker than Emperor Summer. This Realm Heart Great Land is a place protected by Yuan. Emperor Summer coldly said. I understand Yuan's personality better than you. Undying Underworld Emperor sneered, Yuan is quite good in treating the weak among chaotic origin lifeforms. But he would not obstruct such a minor matter. Like some places protected by chaotic origin lifeforms, it is common for all sentient beings in an origin world to die just for the sake of a single expert. I am merely sacrificing 1% to 2% of the population in Realm Heart Great Land. What does that count as? To the entire Realm Heart Great Land, it will soon be replenished. The current Realm Heart Great Land only feels that the land isn't big enough. The population has already reached the limit. Sacrificing a few more people would bring more excitement to the entire land. Undying Underworld Emperor casually said, As long as it doesn't affect the order, Yuan will not care. And the 3 of you. It is better for you to leave now. The edge of Undying Underworld Emperor's lips curled into a cold grin. The Xia Emperor swept him with his gaze and said in a cold voice, Emperor Hades, I'm afraid that our powers are about the same. I can't threaten you, but I can easily ruin your plans and break your formations. I advise you to restrain yourself. You dare. Undying Underworld Emperor revealed a savage expression. His voice was cold as if it came from an endless abyss. I've used the corpses of chaotic origin life forms and many precious treasures for the sake of this sacrifice. Who dares to disrupt my plans? I swear. I'll definitely do my best to let that person know regret. Your disciples and juniors, your masters, your nations, your cities, I'll kill them all. Emperor Summer, Limitless City Master, and Towering Sky King felt their hearts trembling when they heard this voice. They knew that Undying Underworld Emperor did not lie, because he was like this even before the first war of the ancient nations. He represented death. I no longer have any hope in other cultivation paths. I'm too lazy to compete with you all. Once the sacrifice ends, I'll enter the Broken Teeth Mountain range and never return. Undying Underworld Emperor coldly said, if you all are tactful, don't come and provoke me. Otherwise, you all know what I'll do. Emperor Summer's expression became ugly. Madman. Undying Underworld Emperor was a madman. Furthermore, he was a madman who had no worries. He did not have a nation and did not care about any subordinates. The moment Undying Underworld Emperor became furious, the consequences would be unimaginable. AI Emperor Hades, you will regret your madness one day. The Limitless City Lord sighed and disappeared without a trace. Let's go. Towering Sky King shook his head too. Emperor Summer gave Undying Underworld Emperor a deep look before disappearing too. They could feel the determination of Undying Underworld Emperor. Currently, this matter was extremely important to Undying Underworld Emperor. They were not willing to bear the consequences of disrupting his plans. Undying Underworld Emperor sneered. Without the obstruction of Emperor Summer and the others, the souls in the sky once again flew towards the three enormous black maelstrom. No, save us, save us. Don't die, don't die. The souls that stopped in midair previously became anxious when they saw Emperor Summer and the other two terrifying experts leaving. They were all shouting out for help. Experts across the entire realm Heart Great Land became silent. Emperor Summer and the others retreated. Everyone knew of the threat of Undying Underworld Emperor. Even Dongbo Shuiying, who was spying on them through the Destruction Realm teleportation, was able to understand the content of their conversation. To Emperor Summer and the others. If he went to save the countless lives of the 15 nations on the other side, his own nation would probably suffer countless casualties. Even with Emperor Xia's power, he would only be able to protect a few cities. The Summer Wind Ancient Nation was too huge. The Summer Clan had prospered for many years, and their clansmen could be found in every city in the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Between the deaths of those in the 15 nations and the deaths of their own clansmen, Emperor Summer and the others made their choice. Even the three unparalleled existences who felt pity for the weak retreated. As for Moonflower King, Eternal Night Primogenitor, Realm Beast King, and others, it was impossible for them to obstruct them. They were even happy to watch the show. How could this be? Among Cosmos gods, there were those who felt pity, anger, and anxiety. Are we just going to watch as this happens? Who dares to go? Undying Underworld Emperor casually took out the corpse of the chaotic origin lifeform. Before the first war of the ancient nations, he was already the strongest unparalleled existences. Who knows how strong he is now? Who knows if even the ancient nations could resist his revenge? Who dares to stop him? AI. Many experts felt sorrowful. They watched silently. Isn't that Heaven's Will Taoist obstructing the devils from all sides? Does he dare to come out this time? This is Undying Underworld Emperor. How can he be compared to ordinary devils? But the identity of Heaven's Will Taoist is still a mystery. He might really appear. Various parties were discussing. At least they did not dare to come out. Within Feishua City, Dongbo Shuiying watched as Emperor Summer and the others retreated. His expression changed. Snow Eagle, you mustn't show yourself. Underworld Emperor is a madman. He is the incarnation of death. Don't provoke him. Southern Cloud King was currently transmitting a message to Dongbo Shuiying. He anxiously transmitted, you mentioned before that we should endure if we aren't strong enough. The more powerful we are, the more important things we should do. Undying Underworld Emperor's strength is unfathomable. Snow Eagle. The techniques of Underworld Emperor are hard to fathom. According to what Emperor Summer said, Underworld Emperor had been to several mysterious places in the chaotic origin dimension and experienced many things. If you were to show yourself, it would be very dangerous. Sword Master transmitted. Dongbo Shuiying was watching. His Destruction Realm teleportation technique allowed him to see the sky above many cities. He saw many regions and those souls. Some of them were the souls of infants, Some were the souls of weak young men and some were the souls of powerful cultivators. There were males and females, young and old, cultivators of different races. There were many of them. Yet it was futile for them to struggle. Who in the realm Heart Great Land could save them at this moment? Who could watch as they were devoured? Undying Underworld Emperor, it seems I will really have to face you. When Dongbo Shuiying killed many devils across the realm Heart Great Land, he had thought of the day when he would meet the most evil and terrifying existence in the legends. Undying Underworld Emperor. Nameless desolate mountain. There was an enormous corpse of a chaotic origin lifeform. 3 enormous black maelstrom were currently devouring the souls. By the side, the handsome Undying Underworld Emperor stood in midair watching everything coldly. He believed that nobody in the realm Heart Great Land could obstruct him. Amen? Undying Underworld Emperor turned over. There is someone who is so daring? A black crack flashed in the void. A white-robed male walked out. He was none other than Heaven's Will Taoist, who had changed his appearance and aura. Heaven's Will Taoist. Heaven's Will Taoist has really appeared. What realm did everyone play the main page of Snow Eagle? Currently there was a new cross-server battle, gameplay. It was quite interesting. Those who wish to play could visit the official website of the game, http://xylz.com or search for the Yozhai platform on Baidu and click on Enter Official Website. Chapter 1202. Snow Eagle is truly. Southern Cloud King watched this scene through the Destruction Realm teleportation array. His expression could not help but change. He shook his head slightly. He truly did not wish to see this scene. Even though he hated and hoped that Undying Underworld Emperor would fall, he ultimately swore an oath and became the disciple of Undying Underworld Emperor. And on the other side was a teacher and disciple who had a good relationship with each other. He was not willing for Dongbo Shuiying to fight against the terrifying Undying Underworld Emperor. Snow Eagle has concealed his aura. He has never used the identity of Monarch Feishua before. It should not be exposed. Swordmaster, who was similarly concerned, was also watching from afar. I'm afraid this Undying Underworld Emperor might have some unknown techniques. The unknown was the most terrifying thing to others. The act of Undying Underworld Emperor throwing out a chaotic origin lifeform corpse had instilled fear in the apex experts across Realm Heart Great Land. No matter what, I admire Heaven's Will Taoist for daring to appear this time. Amazing. Many experts felt sullen and helpless when Emperor Summer and the others retreated. Now that Heaven's Will Taoist appeared. Even though they were not confident of Heaven's Will Taoist, they admired his courage for daring to appear. He did not care about what the outside world thought. Dongbo Shuiying stood out for the sake of those sentient beings. With a thought, he controlled the void in those souls. He used his actions to express his stance. He then opened his mouth to say, Underworld Emperor, just as he opened his mouth. How dare you? Are you qualified to interfere in my matters? Undying Underworld Emperor's voice boomed across the world. He sent a palm over. That palm was filled with endless darkness. It felt vaster than a cosmos. The endless darkness engulfed Dongbo Shuiying, forcing Dongbo Shuiying to retreat. Hua. At the same time he retreated, a distorted void maelstrom appeared in his surroundings. At the end of the maelstrom, a pitch-black passage was formed. South, Undying Underworld Emperor's palm was incredibly powerful. As the void maelstrom dissipated, Dongbo Shuiying suffered from the invasion of that horrifying darkness. He forced his way into the dark passage and hid 5 million kilometers away. When he appeared in the void 5 million kilometers away, Dongbo Shuiying was covered in blood. His body was rapidly recovering. Your fleshy body has actually been cultivated to the final realm of body cultivation. Formidable, truly formidable. Even though your life force is much weaker, your defensive techniques are more formidable. Only then did Undying Underworld Emperor speak. Undying Underworld Emperor, Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor was indeed treating this Heaven's Will Taoist seriously. This was an Underworld Emperor. Although he did not use his full strength, Heaven's Will Taoist still had many clones. Even Yuan Emperor Yuan's world. Even World Underworld Might World. Even though he did not Underworld, Emperor had Yuan Emperor had not the Yuan Emperor. You say you understand Yuan's temperament, but as time passes, Yuan might change his thinking on how to manage an origin world. According to what I know, Luo City Lord should be a new powerful chaotic origin lifeform, right? He is more compassionate towards the weak. Under the influence of Luo City Lord, Yuan might have a slight change in his way of thinking. Undying Underworld Emperor's expression changed slightly. That was possible. He knew more. That Lord Lo Cheng who broke through with strength and became a chaotic origin life form was indeed more compassionate towards the weak. He was more compassionate than Yuan. Can you endure the punishment from Yuan after such a massacre? Dongbo Shuang asked. What identity does Yuan have? How could he change his thinking so easily? Undying Underworld Emperor coldly replied. He had no other choice. If he did not refine the Death Walker, he was not confident of entering the deeper regions of Broken Teeth Mountain Range. Other than the punishment from Yuan, I, Heavens Will Taoist, will do my best to stop you from slaughtering these sentient beings. The eyes of Dongbo Shuang flashed with coldness. You dare? Undying Underworld Emperor raged. Of course I dare. Underworld Emperor, you are powerful, and I might not be able to injure you. But this time your array has enveloped 15 nations. Underworld Emperor must have spent a great deal of effort to construct such a huge array. I can just casually choose a location and forcefully destroy a certain crucial part of the array. Given my attainments in the Tao of Void, I have many avatars. I can use the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique to travel to different locations and wreak havoc. How many places can you stop? Undying Underworld Emperor's expression turned ugly when he heard that. If more than 100 avatars were to attack different locations, Undying Underworld Emperor did not know how to use avatar techniques. He could only stop 1 or 2 locations. Given the strength of Heavens Will Taoist, it was still easy for him to destroy the array. If you dare to do so. Undying Underworld Emperor muttered, I will similarly slaughter. I will slaughter countless sentient beings. You can't stop me. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. Even if I don't stop you, you will still slaughter the sentient beings in these 15 nations. Since that's the case, why should I retreat? As long as he stopped the destruction. Even if Undying Underworld Emperor vented his anger, the number of sentient beings he killed would not exceed the number of sentient beings in the 15 nations. Because if he killed more, Yuan might send down a punishment. Furthermore, Undying Underworld Emperor did not dare to do so. Because once he vented his anger once, if he wanted to sacrifice again in the future, he wouldn't be able to do it on a large scale again because he had killed too many living beings to vent his anger. You, killing intense sword in the eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor. Emperor Summer and the others had retreated, yet Heavens Will Taoist did not. Heavens Will Taoist did not care when he used the lives of others to threaten him. Emperor Summer, limitless, why isn't your Summer Wind Ancient Nation and Myriad Realms Ancient Nation stopping him? Are you forcing him to spoil my plans? Undying Underworld Emperor transmitted. My Myriad Realms Ancient Nation doesn't have such an expert. My Summer Wind Ancient Nation doesn't have such an expert either. One by one they replied. Clearly, the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, Myriad Realms Ancient Nation, and many other ancient nations chose to stand by the side. Even Eternal Night Primogenitor and Extreme Night Primogenitor from the Primogenitor Ancient Nation were watching the show from the side. They did not like Heavens Will Taoist, but similarly, they did not like this Undying Underworld Emperor. Of these two, one had a mysterious identity. He had no worries and was a final realm expert. The other had no worries and was faintly the #1 expert in Realm Heart Great Land. Undying Underworld Emperor felt frustrated inwardly. He could not threaten the other parties. Otherwise, even if so many unparalleled existences worked together, Undying Underworld Emperor would be in big trouble. Very good. Heavens Will Taoist, you are truly daring to stand out for the sake of these ants. Just you alone can threaten all devils in Realm Heart Great Land. Undying Underworld Emperor sneered, isn't it because nobody knows your true identity? It's a pity that I know who you are. Dongbo Shui Ying's expression changed. Knowing his true identity? Undying Underworld Emperor? Was that true? What? He knows the identity of Heavens Will Taoist. How could this be? Who exactly is Heavens Will Taoist? Who is he? Hurry up and tell us. Many Apex experts across Realm Heart Great Land were paying attention to this. Some were worried, some were shocked, and some were cheering excitedly. The countless demons had been waiting for this day for a long time. He looked forward to the day he found out the true identity of Heavens Will Taoist. It's just that they could not do it. Yet this legendary, Undying Underworld Emperor dared to say such words. He must be confident of doing so. Undying Underworld Emperor looked at Dongbo Shuang. The edge of his lips curled into a sneer. Why? You don't believe me? Bus. Undying Underworld Emperor gritted his teeth. His heart was strangely golden like metal. At this moment, a droplet of golden blood was burning. Both eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor were flashing with golden light. That pair of golden eyes seemed to be able to see through the past and the future. It was as if he was able to see through all fabrications. He was also able to see Heaven's Will Taoist who was opposite him. Heaven's Will Taoist's soul, which had completely concealed his aura, was seen clearly by this strange golden eye. Disguise was useless. Undying Underworld Emperor was slightly startled. He smiled at Dongbua Shuiying and transmitted over, Southern Cloud Nation Ingshan Snow Eagle? Am I right? Clearly he did not want to fall out with them. Dongbua Shuiying's expression changed. He had been discovered. He was really discovered. Speaking of which, you are my grand disciple. Undying Underworld Emperor transmitted over, good grand disciple, hurry up and leave. Don't spoil my grand affair. Otherwise I'll let you off this time. Otherwise don't blame me for being ruthless. Chapter 1203. Many apex experts in Realm Heart Great Land were using various methods to observe the confrontation between Undying Underworld Emperor and Heaven's Will Taoist. At this moment, the expression of Heaven's Will Taoist turned ugly. Undying Underworld Emperor sneered in delight. It seems this Undying Underworld Emperor has discovered the true identity of Heaven's Will Taoist. Hurry up and publicize it. Hurry up and publicize it. It seems they are communicating via voice transmission. This Undying Underworld Emperor is not going to publicize it. Why would Undying Underworld Emperor publicize it? The moment he does so, Heaven's Will Taoist will become even crazier. He would not leave any leeway and destroy that enormous array. Without the control of that vast array, how could he control the souls of sentient beings in 15 nations under the law suppression of Realm Heart Great Land? I've waited for far too long just to know the identity of this Heaven's Will Taoist. This Undying Underworld Emperor actually chose not to publicize it. Various parties were paying attention to it. The devils were all anxiously looking forward to it. Some were cold and aloof. They were purely curious and wanted to know the identity of Heaven's Will Taoist. Of course, there were many fanatical worshippers of Heaven's Will Taoist. Some were experts who rose from saving sentient beings, and some purely worshipped Heaven's Will Taoist because of his actions. This batch of experts did not wish for the identity of Heaven's Will Taoist to be revealed. This was a flag that suppressed many devils. It must not fall. Grand Disciple? Dongbua Shuiying transmitted over, Teacher, is this Undying Underworld Emperor the Grand Teacher? He had never heard of the relationship between Southern Cloud King and Undying Underworld Emperor. He has truly discovered your identity? AI Snow Eagle, this Undying Underworld Emperor has become my teacher. That is something that happened after you took me as your teacher. In the past, for the sake of obtaining the Twin Realm Blade, I was forced to swear an oath to take the original owner of the Twin Realm Blade, Undying Underworld Emperor, as my teacher. Southern Cloud King transmitted over, I originally thought he had died. Who would have thought that he has returned after so many years? Shuiying, I advise you to bear with it. He has already discovered your identity, so there is no need for you to continue resisting. This Undying Underworld Emperor is a madman. That time he represented death precisely because he is used to killing. If you were to become enemies with him, he will definitely not let you off. Dongbua Shuiying was enlightened. Speaking of which, his teacher, Southern Cloud King, was quite pitiful. He was bound by an oath. Hurry up and retreat. Undying Underworld Emperor looked at Dongbua Shuiying. He chuckled and transmitted back, you are my grand disciple. Don't go against your teacher. I have always been free to choose a master. Dongbua Shuiying sent a voice transmission. Mingdi, I advise you to give up. Now that you've retrieved the countless array discs used to set up the array, your losses will be minimized. Otherwise, once I make a move, your losses will be even greater. The expression of Undying Underworld Emperor sunk. Ingshan Snow Eagle? Do you really want to be my enemy? If you don't slaughter all living beings, I naturally won't become your enemy. Underworld Emperor, you have slaughtered so viciously for so long yet you could not become a chaotic origin life form. Don't you want to think about it? Perhaps this path of yours is wrong? Dongbua Shuiying transmitted, when you reach the pinnacle of your path and can no longer break through, you might be able to find another world. If you give up on slaughtering and give up on your past thoughts, you might be able to have a new comprehension. It might even be possible for you to become a chaotic origin life form. He could not move on a single path. Why not try it the other way? I've tried it a long time ago. It's useless. I don't need you to guide me on matters related to cultivation. The expression of undying underworld emperor sunk. If you leave now, I'll still treat you as my grand disciple. In the future, if you need my help, I can still help you. But if you insist on obstructing me, then don't blame me for being heartless. I'll wipe out your entire Yingshan clan and the Southern Cloud Nation. The Southern Cloud Nation will also pay a price because of you. Undying Underworld Emperor was merely saying it. He would naturally not hesitate to wipe out the Yingshan clan. But to wipe out the Southern Cloud Nation? A single Southern Cloud Nation was close to 15 Tier 3 nations. Furthermore, Southern Cloud King would turn mad. A Southern Cloud King who had many avatars would not be any weaker than Dongbo Shuiying. As he threatened and persuaded, Undying Underworld Emperor transmitted to Southern Cloud King at the same time, "Hurry up and persuade this disciple of yours. Don't let him continue being so foolish. If he spoils my matter, not only his Yingshan clan, even your Southern Cloud Nation would not have a good ending." What, teacher? Your meaning is that Heavens Will Daoist is Yingshan Snow Eagle? You actually do not know? Such a secret must be kept completely confidential. It will not be revealed to a second person. I indeed do not know. Southern Cloud King transmitted back. Undying Underworld Emperor felt that this matter should be kept absolutely confidential. That disciple of yours, Snow Eagle, is Heavens Will Daoist. Currently he wants to obstruct me. Hurry up and persuade him not to spoil my matter. Yes, I'll do so. Southern Cloud King replied. Dongbo Shuiying stood in midair. His expression kept changing. He stared at Undying Underworld Emperor and transmitted back. Underworld Emperor, it is useless even if you find anyone to persuade me. You should know that I have reincarnated into this world. In the past, I even disdained to take Ancestor Fan as my teacher. I would rather take Southern Cloud King as my teacher. What? Precisely because taking Southern Cloud King as my teacher gives me more freedom. I do not care about the scriptures and treasures of Southern Cloud. Do you think he can persuade me? The expression of Undying Underworld Emperor turned uglier at that moment. Mad, this was mad. This Snow Eagle had reincarnated into this world. He did not care about Southern Cloud King and might even have limited feelings for the Yingshan clan. It's useless. I have been persuading him previously. Even though I have accepted him as my disciple, I have not taught him anything at all. Currently he is stronger than me and I can neither restrict nor persuade him. Southern Cloud King anxiously transmitted back. What should I do, teacher? What should I do now? You trash. Undying Underworld Emperor was incomparably furious. Usually he would still give face to Southern Cloud King. But at this moment he was truly turning mad. I am at my wit's end, teacher. Southern Cloud King anxiously transmitted back. He was deliberately drawing a line. This was to prevent Undying Underworld Emperor from affecting the entire Southern Cloud Nation when he became mad. This was something agreed upon between Dongbo Shuiying and Southern Cloud King. Underworld Emperor, stop delaying for time. Are you going to retreat or not? Dongbo Shuiying roared out. Retreat? How can I retreat? I have ignited the final realm resentment spirit and constructed an array for the sake of this sacrificial ritual. How can I retreat? Undying Underworld Emperor stared at Dongbo Shuiying. He roared back. The moment I retreat, the final realm resentment spirit will be wasted. The sacrificial ritual will fail and not produce any spirituality. The vitality of this corpse will gradually dissipate, returning to death. I have paid the devouring realm spiritual liquid and many other treasures, and all of them will be wasted. For the sake of this sacrificial ritual, everything will be wasted. How can I retreat? He had paid too much. The moment he failed this time, only the corpse of the chaotic origin life form would remain intact. All other treasures would be wasted. He did not know how long he would have to wait before he could gather more treasures for another sacrificial ritual. Furthermore, with this madman, Snow Eagle, the sacrificial ritual would similarly be foiled. Yingshan Snow Eagle, you can walk on your path. I'll walk on mine. Don't force me. Golden flames were burning on the surface of Undying Underworld Emperor's body. I don't wish to force you. It is you who has forced many sentient beings to a dead end. Shuiying pointed at the floating souls around him. Those souls were also staring at him in anticipation. You want to walk your own path, yet you have caused the extermination of countless souls. This is the path of an evil devil, and you should be exterminated. Since you aren't taking the initiative to retreat, then I can only act. This was the first time Dongbu Shuang roared out. You dare. Undying Underworld Emperor roared. His body was like endless darkness. His aura engulfed the world. Both his palms were covered in dazzling golden flames that directly enveloped over. At this moment, the surroundings seemed to have fallen into a dark death world. Within this death world, there was a terrifying golden flame that caused everything to return to death. So frightening. What a frightening energy. Dongbu Shuang could sense that this undying underworld emperor was clearly stronger by an entire level as compared to Eternal Night Primogenitor. This time, a maelstrom appeared on the surface of Dongbu Shuang's body. It tore apart another pitch-black hole. This was the defensive escaping technique within Dongbu Shuang's Feishuo combat technique, Myriad Realms movement technique. But this time he failed. Under the envelopment of the golden flame and the suppression from the dark world, the maelstrom on the surface of Dongbu Shuang's body completely collapsed. His body could not charge out at all. Instead, he suffered from the invasion of the endless energy, causing his body to be injured. Even though he struggled and resisted, he merely resisted for 2 moves before his body was incinerated into nothingness. Nevertheless, it was useless. Dongbu Shuang did not dare to take the risk when facing Undying Underworld Emperor. He did not even bring along the Void Fire Lotus Flower, much less the chaotic origin weapon, Azure River Spear. He merely arranged for a powerful avatar. Without the aid of secret treasures, this avatar only had the strength of a final realm expert. In some aspects of survival and escaping, it was still an entire level weaker than true final realm experts. Only when Undying Underworld Emperor became serious did he kill this avatar. The expression of Undying Underworld Emperor changed. How could he kill a final realm expert so easily? Furthermore, he did not leave behind any secret treasures? South. At this moment, many white-robed males appeared within the region of the 15 nations. In an instant, more than 100 avatars appeared in different locations. Undying Underworld Emperor was incomparably startled. He transmitted anxiously, Yingshan Snow Eagle, as long as you don't spoil my plans, everything can be discussed. As long as you don't sacrifice anything, everything can be discussed. The 100 avatars replied in unison. It is you who did not give me a path to walk. Undying Underworld Emperor turned mad. Dongbu Shuang had more than 100 avatars. Some were strong and some were weak. The stronger ones had the strength of a final realm expert. Under their eruption, the void was torn apart. Some of the enormous array bases that were laid down were shattered. Almost instantaneously, more than 10 key areas of the array were destroyed. At that moment, the enormous black array that originally enveloped the sky above the 15 nations trembled. As Dongbu Shuang destroyed more and more cores, that enormous black array finally dissipated. The sky above the 15 nations finally regained its normal color. The dimly lit sky was as beautiful and quiet as usual, and the countless flying souls in the 15 nations had broken free from that restriction. They regained their freedom. Return. One by one, the souls followed the feeling of their physical bodies and quickly flew back to their physical bodies. No. Undying Underworld Emperor was doing his best to stop Dongbu Shuang from destroying the array. But it was too late. Dongbu Shuang had too many avatars. Yingshan Snow Eagle. Undying Underworld Emperor roared furiously. This roar echoed across 1 trillion kilometers. It reverberated across 1 trillion kilometers, startling the entire Realm Heart Great Land. At this moment, the apex experts in Realm Heart Great Land understood that Heaven's Will Daoist was Monarch Feishuo from the Southern Cloud Nation, Yingshan Snow Eagle. Chapter 1204. A gray-robed young man stood by the side of his teacher. He was also looking at the floating heaven observation mirror. On the heaven observation mirror, Undying Underworld Emperor let out a roar of Yingshan Snow Eagle, causing the expression of this gray-robed young man to change. My benefactor, my great benefactor, is actually Monarch Feishuo? The gray-robed young man felt his heart trembling. He was worried for his benefactor, Snow Eagle. At the same time, he was infuriated by the madness of Undying Underworld Emperor. Is there nobody in the vast Realm Heart Great Land who could stop a huge devil? Unless it is normal for a devil to wreak havoc? Those who stop the devil would instead suffer? The gray-robed young man clenched his fists. His eyes were turning red. His loved ones, his children. All of his loved ones and clansmen were saved by Heaven's Will Daoist. This was merely one of the unremarkable cities that Heaven's Will Taoist saved over the course of several 100 billion years. This matter was as natural as breathing to Heaven's Will Taoist. He had saved too many sentient beings. Over the long period, many sentient beings he saved had cultivated successfully. Quite a few had even reached the primal chaos realm. Disciple. His teacher glanced at the gray-robed young man and said, "I know that your entire clan has been saved by Heaven's Will Taoist. But Undying Underworld Emperor is too powerful. It isn't appropriate for our myriad realms ancient nation to fall out with him." "I understand." The gray-robed young man gritted his teeth. He hated. If only he was strong enough to fight alongside his benefactor, how good would that be? But now he was just a tiny primal chaos expert. He did not even have the strength to rush over. Undying Underworld Emperor could likely kill him with a single gaze. Benefactor. So the true identity of Benefactor is Monarch Feishue? A pair of father and son were within the residence. There was a ripple in front of them. The ripple also projected the scene far away. Benefactor has done a great favor to us father and son. Because he saved us, I have the chance to become a cosmos god. What a pity that I can't help Benefactor at all. Many cultivators who had been saved by Dongbua Shuiying were extremely worried when they heard the news. There were also countless cultivators. They were weak and didn't know that the identity of their benefactor, Heaven's Will Taoist, had been exposed. They were still living ordinary lives and only felt gratitude towards their benefactor. There is only one Heaven's Will Taoist that appeared in the realm Heart Great Land over the long years. Now this flag was going to fall? Ah. A cosmos god seated cross-legged in the meditation room could hardly hide his anger. I was afraid that there would be a day when the Heaven's Will Taoist appeared out of nowhere. I was afraid that his identity would be exposed. Previously, Undying Underworld Emperor had threatened Monarch Feishue, yet Monarch Feishue did not care about exposing his identity. He still chose to save the beings from 15 nations. Since he dares to do this, does he have something to rely on? You have something to rely on? What is it? Even the Summer Wind Ancient Nation and Myriad Realms Ancient Nation aren't willing to tangle with this madman, Undying Underworld Emperor. What backing does Monarch Feishue have? Even if he survives, the loved ones and clansmen he cares about would suffer a calamity. Many cultivators were sighing. The majority of cultivators had people they cared about. Either their loved ones or their good friends or even their clansmen. There were very few who cared about themselves without caring about others in the world. For instance, Sacred Master came from the Destruction Devil race, and Undying Underworld Emperor cultivated the Tao of Death. Both of their hearts were extreme to the extreme. As long as one had a slightly normal heart, they would not be willing to be alone. There were those who were concerned and worried. There were also those who wished for this Heaven's Will Taoist to die. Various devil organizations were cheering and looking forward to what would happen next. Haha, if he angered Undying Underworld Emperor, his clansmen would most likely die. Even he himself would be killed by Undying Underworld Emperor the moment he appeared. All his avatars could only live on without daring to show themselves. Who knows? Undying Underworld Emperor might have a way to kill him. After all, Undying Underworld Emperor could see through his identity and take out a chaotic origin lifeform corpse. Undying Underworld Emperor might have some techniques that transcend our imagination. I've said it before. Nobody can suppress us all the time. That foolish Heaven's Will Taoist actually provoked Undying Underworld Emperor. He is simply courting death. Haha, let's see how he ends up. Many devils were looking forward to it. Many parties were watching. And Undying Underworld Emperor had indeed turned mad. He waved his hand and kept that chaotic origin lifeform corpse before unleashing a frenzied attack. With a flash, he traversed across a great distance and charged at one of Dongbua Shuiying's avatars. Die for me. Undying Underworld Emperor's enormous palm seemed to contain an endless world of darkness. When it slapped out, the other party could not evade at all. The power of this palm was even more terrifying than when Eternal Night Primogenitor attacked with all his might. He even had a misconception of falling into the chaotic origin dimension. The entire world of darkness and death was killing him. Dongbua Shuiying sent out more than 100 avatars to destroy the array. There were strong and weak avatars, and only a few had the strength of a final realm expert. This avatar merely had the strength of a level 2 cosmos god. He was instantly destroyed. Die for me. Go and die. Undying Underworld Emperor stood there. His face was covered in a layer of frost. Both of his palms were able to traverse across a great distance and across the distance of several nations before slapping out on an avatar. His palms slapped out, causing many avatars to dissipate. There was also a slightly stronger avatar that withstood 2 palms before dying. After Undying Underworld Emperor killed more than 30 avatars within a short period, the other avatars of Dongbu Shuang had already fled. Actually, if Undying Underworld Emperor chose to flee, he would only be able to kill 2 to 3 avatars. The reason why he could kill so many was because Dongbu Shuang wanted to make use of this opportunity to see how strong Undying Underworld Emperor was. Flee? Do you think you can escape? Undying Underworld Emperor had a savage expression. The figure of Undying Underworld Emperor disappeared. When he appeared again, he had already arrived above the enormous Feishua city. Feishua city was vast. It was currently the second biggest city in the southern Cloud Nation. There were many people living there. The population of a single city far exceeded that of a Tier 3 nation. Yingshan Snow Eagle. The roar of Undying Underworld Emperor reverberated across the world. It reverberated across the entire Feishua city. Nonetheless, the arrays of Feishua city had long been activated. A faint light enveloped the entire city, isolating the transmission of his voice. After all, given the techniques of Undying Underworld Emperor, just his voice was sufficient to cause the deaths of many weaker cultivators. Nobody can save you. Also, the entire Feishua city will be buried with you. Undying Underworld Emperor roared. Even though he was furious, he was ultimately a chaotic origin life form. After experiencing many setbacks, he could still maintain his rationality. Even though he said that he was formidable, in reality, he did not dare to slaughter too many. Because if he slaughtered too many, what if he wanted to sacrifice more in the future? What should he do? If he slaughtered twice consecutively, the moment Yuan became furious, the consequences would be frightening. If Yuan wanted to kill him, he could do so with a flip of his hand. Hence, even if Undying Underworld Emperor wanted to take revenge, destroying a single Feishua city was already his limit. Because the population of Feishua city far exceeded that of ordinary Tier 3 nations. Previously, Undying Underworld Emperor had the confidence of bringing the Undying Walker into the Broken Teeth Mountain range after the sacrificial ceremony. There was no need for him to return. That was why he dared to sacrifice close to 15 nations. But now that the sacrificial ceremony had failed, he had to stay in the Realm Heart Great Land for a long period to continue his plan. Hence, he had to take it easy when he slaughtered. Underworld Emperor, it is fine if you want to deal against Monarch Feishua. But the civilians in Feishua city are innocent. Please let them off. A figure appeared. He was none other than Paragon Master Bewitching Sword. Paragon Master Bewitching Sword? Paragon Master Bewitching Sword from Summer Wind Ancient Nation actually appeared? He wants to obstruct Undying Underworld Emperor? Various parties were startled as they watched this scene. Sword Master. And Dongbu Shuang, who was already above Feishua city, was slightly startled. He transmitted, Sword Master, there is no need for you to wade into these muddy waters. Undying Underworld Emperor is a madman. Paragon Master Bewitching Sword remained standing opposite Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor gave a savage grin. Humph, Paragon Master Bewitching Sword? Why is your Summer Wind Ancient Nation planning to interfere in this matter? Even though he was furious, he was not in a rush to act. Because Paragon Master Bewitching Sword was not an ordinary Final Realm expert. He cultivated for a short period and was the only Final Realm expert after the 3 unparalleled existences in Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, and Emperor Tsang would definitely protect this Paragon Master Bewitching Sword with their lives. It isn't my Summer Wind Ancient Nation that wants to interfere in this matter. Instead, I am here personally to persuade you. Sword Master said. Hurry up and scram. I don't have time to waste with you. A cold light flashed in the eyes of Undying Underworld Emperor. His right hand covered the sky. His palm contained an endless world of darkness that slapped over. Sword Master also unsheathed his sword. At the moment when the sword light was unsheathed, the surrounding region spanning 1 trillion kilometers had turned into a world of sword light. Its power was so strong that it was even stronger by an entire level as compared to when Sword Master was in the Origin World Primal Chaos Void. After all, Emperor Summer, Emperor Tsang, and Ancestor Fan treated Sword Master with great importance. They were doing their best to help him. The treasure Sword Master obtained was much better than the Void Fire Lotus Flower. It was the strongest secret treasure in the Tao of Destruction that the Summer Wind ancient nation collected. It had transformed into the shape of a sword. Given the supreme secret importation technique of Sword Master, with this secret treasure in hand, he was naturally stronger than when he was in his hometown. It had reached 80% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's strength. Chapter 1205. Peng. An enormous palm imbued with an endless world of darkness slapped over. Even though Sword Master was prepared for it, he still felt the pressure. Emperor Summer is right. This undying underworld emperor is indeed on the same level as him. Truly frightening. He naturally informed Emperor Summer before coming to obstruct the other party. Emperor Summer also said at that time, "Bewitching sword, this undying underworld emperor isn't any weaker than me. He might even be stronger than me. He has left the Realm Heart Great Land for too long. I can't see through his strength at all." Now it seems. He was indeed on the same level as Emperor Summer. As for being stronger? It wasn't obvious. There was a limit to how strong he was. But Sword Master did not know that firstly, Undying Underworld Emperor did not unleash his strongest technique. Secondly, Undying Underworld Emperor's greatest achievement over the long years was pondering over how to refine a Death Walker. If he succeeded in the sacrifice, he could refine a Death Walker. That was qualified to be called a half-chaotic origin life-form body. In terms of strength, it could fight against some of the weakest chaotic origin life-forms. Bewitching sword, remember? You are going to protect the weak and not Monarch Faciua. Don't fall out with Undying Underworld Emperor. Just advise him. He won't be so foolish as to become enemies with my Summer Wind ancient nation. Emperor Summer instructed at that time. Emperor Summer and the others were indeed not afraid. Emperor Summer had many avatars. Just the Summer Wind capital was the biggest city in the entire Realm Heart Great Land. It had an unfathomable population. The core clansmen of the Summer clan were located in several major cities, and all of them were protected by his avatars. Hence, even if they fell out, the core cities would not be a problem. He believed that Undying Underworld Emperor would not be so foolish before there was no great enmity. Indeed, the one who sacrificed the sacrifice was Monarch Faciua. Undying Underworld Emperor naturally hated that Monarch Faciua. He would not create a terrifying enemy just because of such a minor matter. Hong, an enormous palm slapped down, causing many sword lights to dissipate. Even the Sword Master was sent flying backwards from the impact. He crashed into the light barrier of the flying Snow City protecting array, and he immediately flew up again. The weapon in your hand isn't a supreme graded secret treasure, yet you are unparalleled? Undying Underworld Emperor sneered when he saw that. It's a pity that none of you are qualified to be unparalleled in front of me. In the entire Realm Heart Great Land. In fact, 2 of them were above the invincible realm. One was the Xia Emperor. All of them were able to heavily injure Eternal Night Primogenitor and force him to flee within a short period of time. The other was the former #1 expert in Realm Heart Great Land, and now, Undying Underworld Emperor who had returned even stronger. Both of them had reached the final realm in 2 days. He was indeed much stronger. However, being stronger by a level wouldn't give him much of an advantage in battle. He would only be able to gain the upper hand. It was easy for the invincible existences to escape or retreat. Bang bang. The Sword Master continued to strike. Undying Underworld Emperor slapped several times with his palms. Even though he injured Sword Master, he merely left some blood at the edge of his lips. His injuries were light. Paragon Master Bewitching Sword, I don't have the patience to talk to you. Undying Underworld Emperor felt slightly frustrated. He once again slapped with his right hand. This time, his palm was covered in black flames. This enormous palm that covered the sky came slapping over. Even though Sword Master used his sword to defend against it, he was still slapped far away. He even spurted out fresh blood. At the same time when he slapped away Sword Master, Undying Underworld Emperor slapped down on the Faciua city below. Stop. Another loud roar sounded. Endless black clouds appeared, blocking against that slap from Undying Underworld Emperor. Peng? The black cloud was directly smacked and scattered in all directions, but it turned into countless insects. Many tiny insects rapidly flew towards a figure. They flew onto the body of that figure before transforming into a loose black robe. This was an expert with the appearance of a human-shaped flying insect. His entire body was covered in black scales. There were 2 soft feelers protruding from his forehead, and a pair of thin and crystalline wings behind his back. Currently, the black robe formed from insects was wrapped around his body. He looked up at Undying Underworld Emperor. Underworld Emperor, please stop. Insect Ancestor? Undying Underworld Emperor felt slightly frustrated. You are here to stop me? He had some friendship with Insect Ancestor. He had bought and sold the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid before. Furthermore, Undying Underworld Emperor did not wish to fall out with Insect Ancestor. Because this sacrifice failed, and he still wanted to purchase the Devouring Realm spiritual liquid from Insect Ancestor. Monarch Feishua has many avatars and you can't kill him. Why are you venting your anger on the innocent? Is there a need for this? Insect Ancestor's voice was hoarse. Swordmaster was startled by the side. The various organizations watching from the Realm Heart Great Land were incredibly startled. They could understand why Paragon Master Bewitching Sword acted. After all, Monarch Feishua was an honored guest of the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Furthermore, it was said that he had a good relationship with Paragon Master Bewitching Sword. As for Insect Ancestor, the relationship between Insect Ancestor and the Summer Wind Ancient Nation wasn't good. Furthermore, Insect Ancestor had slaughtered countless under the command of Devouring Realm Great Emperor in the past. Why would he care about those innocent lives? You care about those ants too? Undying Underworld Emperor did not dare believe it. Insect Ancestor, did I hear wrongly? The Ying Shan clan and I have an old relationship. Insect Ancestor said, speaking of which, I still owe the Ying Shan clan a huge favor. Hence, I came this time in hopes that Underworld Emperor can stop. At the moment when the various organizations in the Realm Heart Great Land were paying attention to Feishua City. Nevertheless, a piece of news was rapidly transmitted deep within the Broken Teeth Mountain range. Monarch, the true identity of Heaven's Will Daoist is Monarch Feishua. He acted to save the sentient beings in 15 nations, yet he disrupted the grand plan of Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor is furious and killed his way to the Feishua City. He wants to wipe out the entire Ying Shan clan and even the entire Feishua City. This piece of news soon reached one of the worlds within the Broken Teeth Mountain range. There were not many sentient beings in this vast world, but every single one of them was powerful. The weakest infant was at the Void God level. And the monarch of this world was currently accompanying his child. The starlight-robed male was originally accompanying his daughter with a smile. Suddenly his expression changed slightly. Heaven's Will Daoist, you have saved my daughter before. I can't just ignore this matter. The starlight-robed male remained at his original position. In reality, it was only an incarnation that remained. His true body had already left for the Realm Heart Great Land, Feishua City. Feishua City. Dongbua Shuiying looked at Insect Ancestor with shock. Insect Ancestor is here to help me? Dongbua Shuiying did not dare believe it. He has an old relationship with the Ying Shan clan? Why is there no record of this in the history of my Ying Shan clan? The entire old ancestor of the Ying Shan clan, Old Mother Ying Shan, was still alive, yet she did not know about it. The distant insect ancestor turned around and glanced at Dongbua Shuiying. His face that was covered in scales that resembled an insect head revealed a smile. Clearly it was filled with goodwill. Insect Ancestor felt complex in his heart. You don't recognize me anymore. Even I don't recognize myself anymore. It's just that I can't forget. My true name is Ba Tua Chen, the only surviving core disciple of the Ba Tua clan. Ba Tua Chen could not forget. In the Thistleflower Nation, his clan was destroyed and his wife was a spy sent by the enemy. During his most desperate moment, it was a white-robed young man called Ying Shan Snow Eagle who saved him. He sent him to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. It was also the start of his fortuitous encounter at the capital of the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. But before he could grow strong, he was imprisoned in the prison because he became enemies with the Fan clan. Even though he could eventually escape after becoming stronger in the dark, his growth would be very slow in the prison. It was Ying Shan Snow Eagle, who appeared and sent him away. Only then did he truly become a dragon that entered the sea and began rapidly growing stronger. He hated many people. He even felt that this world was cruel and cold where the strong preyed on the weak. Even if he was in despair, that white-robed young man Ying Shan Snow Eagle made him feel that there was still a strand of light in this world. He did not care about the deaths of other sentient beings. But Ying Shan Snow Eagle was something he had to save. It's just that the opponent this time is too strong. Insect Ancestor Ba Tua Chen looked ahead. He had raised his strength to a limit during this short period. But compared to Undying Underworld Emperor, the gap was still too big. Suddenly incomparably dazzling starlight appeared above Feishua City. It was condensing. Amen? Sword Master and Insect Ancestor Ba Tuo-Chin were both startled. Even the furious undying Underworld Emperor had a slight change in expression. He could feel a threat coming from the starlight that pervaded the entire place. The starlight condensed. It turned into a male wearing a luxurious starlight robe. His aura was noble and transcendent. He stood there looking at Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor? Who are you? Undying Underworld Emperor became solemn. In the entire Realm Heart Great Land he should be the only one who could sense how unique this newcomer was. Because he had met this type of expert before. Broken Tooth Mountain Range Starlight World Master. The starlight-robed male chuckled. World Master. Undying Underworld Emperor's expression changed slightly. He was clear how terrifying those who could become World Masters within the Broken Tooth Mountain Range were. This was also why he dared to charge into the Broken Tooth Mountain Range only after refining the Death Walker. Naturally, World Masters were merely a part of the danger in the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. Undying Underworld Emperor was not afraid of a single World Master who was not within the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. You are a World Master from the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. Why are you here? Undying Underworld Emperor asked. Monarch Feishua has done me a favor. Naturally, I have to come and protect him. The starlight-robed male said. Dongbu Shuang watched in a daze. He could understand why Sword Master would help him. But Insect Ancestor and this mysterious Starlight World Master, from the Broken Tooth Mountain Range were people he did not know. Nevertheless, both of them stood out at this crucial moment. He saved countless sentient beings time and time again. Unknowingly, there were already experts willing to help him resist against Undying Underworld Emperor. One drink, one peck. This should be a type of operation of the Supreme Law, right? Dongbu Shuang suddenly had some enlightenment. Ever since he experienced the joy of freedom from the souls, he understood the direction of the Tao of Soul and saw the direction of fusing the 5 branches of the Mirage and Illusory Realm together. He had vaguely touched upon a higher law at the soul level. He also vaguely understood the operation of the Supreme Law. He saved the sentient beings, and from them, he comprehended the direction of the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. He saved countless lives in the Realm Heart Great Land. And during times of crisis, there were also experts who stood out for him. Chapter 1206. Sword Master, Insect Ancestor, and the mysterious Starlight World Master. The 3 of them stood above the Feishua City, shielding Undying Underworld Emperor. This scene made those who were worried about Ying Shan Snow Eagle, in Realm Heart Great Land heave a sigh of relief. 3 great experts are here to help. That Broken Tooth Mountain Range World Master is even more unfathomable. Southern Cloud King had always been anxious. At this moment he felt slightly more relaxed. With their help, Snow Eagle should be able to survive this calamity. Who is this mysterious Starlight World Master, from Broken Tooth Mountain Range? He seems to be someone that Undying Underworld Emperor is slightly afraid of? Within Feishua City, Old Mother Ying Shan was also constantly paying attention. After all, this concerned the survival of the entire Ying Shan clan. The moment Feishua City was breached, the Ying Shan clan would not be able to resist against Undying Underworld Emperor. A favor? Monarch Feishua has done a favor for you? Undying Underworld Emperor angrily said, You are a world master from Broken Tooth Mountain Range, and you should be stronger than him, right? He has done you a favor? He has saved my daughter before. The starlight-robed male chuckled. Underworld Emperor Monarch Feishua has many avatars. It is impossible for you to kill him, so why the need? It is better for you to retreat. Very good. Undying Underworld Emperor swept his gaze across Sword Master, Insect Ancestor, and finally at that starlight-robed male. You are merely a world master from one of the many worlds in Broken Tooth Mountain Range. Now that you have left your own world, I do want to see how strong you are. As for Paragon Master Bewitching Sword and Insect Ancestor, both of you should scram for me. Today it is futile for anyone to obstruct me. The moment he finished speaking, Undying Underworld Emperor's palms covered the entire sky. Each palm was filled with a world of black flames. Those who saw it would feel their hearts trembling in despair. 2 enormous palms came slapping over. One palm swept towards Insect Ancestor and Sword Master. The other palm swept towards that starlight-robed male. The palm was too big. It encompassed the entire world and could not be evaded. Split. Sword Master drew his sword. Sword light flashed out, tearing the world apart. Umph. The insect ancestor snorted. The black robe that he was wearing suddenly turned into a black rod. This was the weapon that was most suitable for him. The insect ancestor wielded the black short rod and stabbed upwards. His arms swelled, and so did the black rod in his hand. Like a heavenly pillar, it pierced into the black flame world of the huge palm. Who, undying underworld emperor, easily smashed down with his palm. Sword master's sword light shattered, and the black rod in insect ancestor's hand once again shattered into countless insects. As the sword master retreated, he used his swordsmanship to divert the force. Insect ancestor simply flapped his wings and tore through layers of spatial obstructions as he retreated at high speed. Ah! Even though undying underworld emperor held the upper hand, he suddenly let out a cry of pain. Because Starlight World Master was wielding a spear that forcefully pierced through the other palm of undying underworld emperor. It even pierced through the black flame world, causing that world to collapse. Undying underworld emperor's palm was forced to reveal its original form. A hole had been pierced through. What a Starlight World Lord! If we were in your world, I might still give you some leeway. But in the Realm Heart Great Land? Scram for me. Undying underworld emperor went berserk. That unique metallic heart in his body ignited a droplet of golden blood, causing a unique golden energy to surge into his left hand. His left hand turned completely golden. It was incredibly noble. Undying underworld emperor directly waved his left hand at Starlight World Master. This is. The expression of Starlight World Master changed. He felt a threat from that enormous golden palm. If it were in his own world, he would not be afraid. But now that he was in the Realm Heart Great Land, he was weaker by an entire level. Who? The spear in his hand rotated slightly before parrying the attack. Pung? The gigantic golden palm slammed down, causing time to freeze and space to shatter. There was nowhere to dodge. The spear in Starlight World Lord's hand trembled from the impact, and his hands were covered in blood. He could not help but turn into a stream of light and be blasted away. As for Insect Ancestor and Sword Master, even if Undying Underworld Emperor did not bring out his trump card, the two of them would still be suppressed. After all, in terms of strength, Sword Master was still slightly better. He still had 80% of the strength of Eternal Night Primogenitor, and could be considered unparalleled. As for Insect Ancestor, he was much weaker. He did not have any supreme secret importation. In terms of combat strength, he was merely slightly stronger than most Final Realm cultivators. Dongbua Shuiying sent several avatars and they were not any weaker than Insect Ancestor. But Insect Ancestor's survivability was quite formidable. What? Within the royal palace of Summer Wind Ancient Nation, Emperor Summer had been watching the battle. At this moment, his expression changed. This Undying Underworld Emperor still has such a technique? He stared at that enormous palm that was suffused with golden light. If one said that the previous technique of Undying Underworld Emperor was comparable to Emperor Summer's. But at this moment, the power of this golden palm had surpassed that of Emperor Summer. His strength is indeed stronger than mine. Emperor Summer thought, but even if the sacrificial ritual was disrupted by Ying Shan Snow Eagle, he did not unleash such power. He was forced into a corner by Starlight World Master. Perhaps he paid a price for using this technique? If it was a commonly used technique, why did he hide it until now? So powerful. Amazing. Undying Underworld Emperor is indeed stronger than Emperor Summer. In the entire Realm Heart Great Land, the strongest unparalleled existences is still Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor is the strongest expert in Realm Heart Great Land. Many unparalleled existences made their judgment as they watched this scene. Scram for me. Undying Underworld Emperor stood in midair. He emitted a dark aura that engulfed the world. His palm contained a world of dark flames that suppressed Sword Master and Insect Ancestor, forcing the two of them to evade in a sorry state. His other palm turned into a vast and dazzling golden palm. It repelled that Starlight World Master with a single palm. Closely following that, he sent another palm over. Both of them blasted open a spatial passageway and sent the Starlight World Lord flying through it. Ying Shan Snow Eagle, I've said before that nobody can save you. Undying Underworld Emperor turned his gaze towards Dongbua Shuiying, who was above Feishua City. His eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. He kept his enormous golden palm before slapping it down on Feishua City. Die for me. The golden palm was incredibly powerful. This palm was absolutely a full-powered attack from the strongest expert in Realm Heart Great Land. It was also an incomparably furious attack. At this moment, many parties became anxious. Those cultivators who were indebted to Dongbu Shuiying were incredibly anxious. Those who admired Dongbu Shuiying were anxious too. Southern Cloud King revealed a look of despair. I've said before that I should let him endure for a while. This is the ending of my Yingshan clan? Old Mother Yingshan stood within Feishua City. She looked up at that enormous golden palm descending from the sky. At this moment, Sword Master and Insect Ancestor were both sent flying. They were incredibly anxious. Yingshan Snow Eagle. Barbaturin truly wanted to help his benefactor. Snow Eagle. Sword Master was even more anxious. But it was useless, there was nothing that they could do. Even Starlight World Master was sent flying. Even though he rushed back, he could not defend against this palm in time. This palm could be said to be an apocalyptic palm. Even though the laws in Realm Heart Great Land were strict, it was still easy for this palm to destroy the entire Feishua City. Azure River. Dongbu Shuiying extended his hand, causing a black spear to appear in his hand. He abruptly raised this spear with both his hands. Hung Long Long, many arrays across the entire Feishua City began operating. Many inscriptions were activated. Many light rays converged on the body of Dongbu Shuiying. At this moment, Dongbu Shuiying, who carried the array plate core, became the core of all arrays in Feishua City. Chaotic origin, world-aligned, great cleave. The eyes of Dongbu Shuiying were filled with madness. He brandished the spear in his hand and hacked upwards. One could see many cracks appearing in the surrounding world. Pitch-black chaotic origin energy surged out from these cracks and converged on this spear. Following that, Dongbu Shuiying hacked down with both hands. Hongka, the world split apart. It was truly splitting apart. The entire origin world split apart. A pitch-black crack seemed to have split the world apart. It also formed a black crack on that enormous golden palm. Chi. The golden light on the surface of the original golden palm dimmed. Following that, the golden light dissipated. That enormous palm was split into two. Furthermore, part of the palm was corroded under this power. Following that, the entire palm rapidly recovered. It was just that Undying Underworld Emperor watched with disbelief. His absolute move was blocked. Chapter 1207. What? Southern Cloud King, Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, Emperor Tsang, Limitless City Master, Realm Beast King, Apocalyptic God Emperor, Moonflower King, Eternal Night Primogenitor, and many other apex experts across the entire Realm Heart Great Land were watching this battle with their mouths agape. They could see that the power of that palm from Undying Underworld Emperor represented the apex in Realm Heart Great Land. Even Emperor Summer was likely weaker by an entire level. This palm should have turned the entire Feishua City into ashes. But in the end it was parried? Is this real? Old Mother Yingshan, who was originally looking upwards, was prepared to die. But that white-robed young man Yingshan Shuiying, who wielded a spear in his hand, had actually parried against that palm. He did not seem to be at a disadvantage at all. Strictly speaking, Undying Underworld Emperor's hand was even injured. I knew it. Snow Eagle must have something to rely on. Sword Master revealed a look of excitement when he saw that. He still wanted to save the sentient beings from the 15 nations when facing the threat of Undying Underworld Emperor. I guess that he must have something to rely on. It's just that I can't imagine what he relied on. Who would have thought that he could become so strong in Feishua City? By relying on the arrays of Feishua City, he could become so strong? Emperor Summer was slightly startled too. If even Undying Underworld Emperor could not deal against him, he would be truly unparalleled in Feishua City. Ancestor Fan was startled too. It was normal for one to become so strong in his territory by relying on the arrays. But there was a limit to how much he could improve by relying on the arrays. For instance, Southern Cloud King had spent a huge fortune to stabilize the Southern Cloud capital. Only in the capital could he fight against unparalleled existences directly. As for Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, Emperor Tsang, and others, they were powerful to begin with. If they were in their own cities, Emperor Summer would be much stronger in the Summer Wind capital, and Undying Underworld Emperor would simply be seeking death. How could this be? Undying Underworld Emperor gritted his teeth. He stared downwards. Even with the help of the arrays in his territory, it is fine if he could fight against ordinary unparalleled existences. But how could he stop me? Undying Underworld Emperor did not believe it. he roared out. That unique metallic heart in his body ignited another 2 drops of golden blood. He was obviously angry. No matter what, he had to make this snow eagle pay the price. Boom. Boom. A pair of horrifying golden palms descended once more. It was just that this time around the 2 palms enveloped over at the same time. Their might was so great that the expressions of Sword Master, Insect Ancestor and the others changed, not daring to face them head-on. Starlight World Lord, who had just returned, was in no hurry to make a move. I didn't expect Emperor Feishua to be able to counter that move head-on. At the very least, he seems to be stronger than me in his lair, Feishua City? Hong, Dongbo Shuang wielded his spear. Many arrays in the entire Feishua City were activated to augment his body. Through the chaotic origin weapon, Azure River Spear, he guided the surrounding void. For a moment, the entire sky above Feishua City had fallen into darkness. Amidst the darkness, chaotic origin energy fused into the void and suppressed that undying underworld emperor. Dongbo Shuang had obtained the chaotic origin weapon 300 billion years ago. Ever since he got his hands on this chaotic origin weapon, Dongbo Shuang had naturally researched on how to unleash a stronger power. If he could perfectly fuse the arrays of Feishua City with this spear, hence he had modified many techniques. Amen? A surging dark chaotic origin domain pervaded everywhere. It suppressed Undying Underworld Emperor and that pair of golden palms. Undying Underworld Emperor could not help but change his expression. Following that, Dongbo Shuang once again executed his spear technique. One could see a simple stab from his spear technique, yet it caused many bubbles to appear. Those bubbles started collapsing one after another. That destructive power eventually clashed against that pair of golden palms. Hung long long, booming sounds could be heard continuously. Undying Underworld Emperor's expression remained savage. He used his palms to resist against everything. He did not stop at all. Chaotic Origin Myriad Realms Movement Technique. Dongbo Shuang stabbed out with his spear, forming an endless chaotic origin maelstrom to protect his body. The spear stabbed against the golden palms. Many terrifying shockwaves were continuously dissipated by the endless chaotic origin maelstrom. None of the shockwaves reached his body. The golden light on the palms of Undying Underworld Emperor dimmed once again. What? Undying Underworld Emperor became truly anxious. He looked at Dongbo Shuang with disbelief. At this moment he understood that even if he ignited the precious blood in his heart, he could only fight to a draw. Escape. Undying Underworld Emperor gritted his teeth. He forced his way into Feishua City. He no longer wished to defeat this Feishua monarch. Instead, he wanted to infiltrate Feishua City and wreak havoc. Nevertheless, the entire Feishua City was within the domain of Dongbo Shuang. Undying Underworld Emperor had just barely passed through the layers of world ripples and entered Feishua City when a terrifying spatial ripple enveloped him, teleporting him out. The scene before his eyes blurred. He had arrived outside Feishua City. In terms of domain control, even though he cultivated in the 2 final Daos of Death and Flame, his domain control could not compare to experts in the Tao of Void. Dongbo Shuang cultivated a supreme secret importation. He was augmented by many arrays and had a chaotic origin weapon. It was fine if he was in other places, but in Feishua City, he could easily control every single inch of the void. Chi, Hong. Undying Underworld Emperor executed many techniques. Either by forcefully escaping, stealthily sneaking in, or barbarically attacking, they were all blocked by Dongbo Shuang or teleported away. But even when facing against the terrifying spear of Dongbo Shuang, Undying Underworld Emperor who was unwilling to burn his heart blood was forced into a miserable state. His entire body was covered in blood. How could you control so much chaotic origin energy? Undying Underworld Emperor did not dare believe it. Every single move of this snow eagle in front of him could control a frightening amount of chaotic origin energy. Even unparalleled existences could only rely on supreme graded secret treasures to improve their laws. They were not good at controlling chaotic origin energy. But Dongbo Shuang was able to control too much chaotic origin energy. It even gave off the demeanor of a true chaotic origin life form. Unless, Undying Underworld Emperor turned to that spear in the hand of Dongbo Shuang, the spear in your hand is a chaotic origin weapon? Dongbo Shuang was slightly startled. He was guessed. That's right. It must be. Even with the augmentation of arrays, it shouldn't be this exaggerated. It must be a chaotic origin weapon. A chaotic origin weapon. specializes in controlling chaotic origin energy. Undying Underworld Emperor looked at the white-robed young man in front of him. Other than hatred and killing intent, there was also jealousy in his eyes. He was truly jealous. Because when he was breaking through to become a chaotic origin life form, he knew that there were some absolute geniuses in the various origin worlds whose comprehension abilities and talent were highly regarded by the chaotic origin life forms. The chaotic origin life forms would spend a lot of effort to prepare a simplified, chaotic origin weapon for them. Because cosmos gods could not use true chaotic origin weapons. But Undying Underworld Emperor did not know that not only did the weapon have to be simplified, it had to be personally refined by a cosmos god before one could refine a chaotic origin weapon. Who thinks highly of his talent? Is it Yuan? Undying Underworld Emperor thought, but so what if he is talented? Very few can succeed in breaking through to become a chaotic origin life form. Yingshan Snow Eagle. Undying Underworld Emperor stared at the white-robed young man above Feishua City. Very good. No wonder you dare to spoil my plans. But you are only so strong in Feishua City. In the future, as long as you leave Feishua City, I'll kill you every time I discover you. Saying that, Undying Underworld Emperor turned around and left. He disappeared into the void. Everything gradually regained its calmness. Dongbo Shuiying let out a sigh of relief. It is still within my expectations. Before obtaining the chaotic origin weapon, Azure River Spear, he could fight against unparalleled existences by relying on the many arrays in Feishua City. And the Azure River Spear allowed him to control the chaotic origin energy more easily. If he used it with his fists, he would only be able to unleash 10% of its power. With the Azure River Spear, he could control a much greater amount of chaotic origin energy, allowing his power to reach 10%. It was precisely because of the huge increase in his strength that allowed him to fight against Undying Underworld Emperor. But Undying Underworld Emperor is truly powerful. If I did not have the arrays supporting me, I would definitely not be his opponent in the outer world. In the outside world, I'm definitely not his opponent. Shuiying understood this point. Of course, if he wielded the chaotic origin weapon in the outer world, he would only have about 30% of the strength of Eternal Primogenitor. Only with such strength could he resist against Undying Underworld Emperor in his territory. As Dongbo Shuiying was reflecting over this battle, the apex organizations in Realm Heart Great Land were in a daze. Undying Underworld Emperor was indeed frightening. He was the current strongest expert in Realm Heart Great Land. And in Feishua City, Monarch Feishua had fought against Undying Underworld Emperor and even forced Undying Underworld Emperor to leave helplessly. That was too shocking. Chapter 1208. Unless this Yingshan Snow Eagle has reached the final realm of Cosmos God? Ancestor Fan said. He stood together with Emperor Summer and Emperor Tsong. The three of them were looking at the distant southern void. No. Emperor Summer nonchalantly said, even though the many arrays in Feishua City are powerful, the profound mysteries behind the arrays are mainly focused on the Tao of Void, guiding the chaotic origin energy. I am certain that those arrays are only formidable in controlling the chaotic origin energy. They have yet to reach the final realm in the Tao of Void. When Ancestor Fan and Emperor Sky heard this, they did not suspect anything. After all, Emperor Summer was an existence who had reached the final realm in both the Tao of Void and the Tao of Flame. His comprehension of the chaotic origin energy was deep too. He's not even at the ultimate level, yet he's this strong? Even if he has a supreme secret importation, it shouldn't be like this. Ancestor Fan was puzzled. The increase in strength is very abnormal. Grey Emperor also nodded. Yes. Emperor Summer muttered to himself. Previously, when he disrupted the ritual of Undying Underworld Emperor, the avatar he sent out had the combat power of a final realm expert. But more importantly, his ability to control the chaotic origin energy is even more amazing. In my opinion, he must have acquired a supreme secret importation. Using the peak level 2 Cosmos God realm and a supreme graded secret importation to unleash a final realm strength. As a Void Tao final stage expert, his judgment was very accurate. As for the power of an ultimate prime, by relying on the support of the formations of a city, they will generally only be able to rise to the level of an ordinary invincible prime, the Xia Emperor said. For instance, the 8 Silk Island Lord, the Sacred Fire City Lord, and other ultimate realm demons. Although they didn't have any supreme secret treasures, they would manage their bases to be impregnable. In their bases they were invincible. It was only because the Southern Cloud King, was too wealthy that he could afford to spend a huge sum of money. That was how he could gain unparalleled strength in the southern cloud capital. And when Ming Di is in his normal state, the power he can unleash isn't any weaker than mine. My doppelgangers can only match him if they work together. Emperor Xia said. Although Emperor Hades had also reached the ultimate level in 2 Daos, he could tell that Emperor Hades had a more profound foundation and displayed more power. Fortunately, the Xia Emperor had many clones. When he was fighting with his life on the line, that strange golden energy covered his palm. The strength he can unleash is even stronger by a few times. This strength might even be comparable to some of the weaker chaotic origin lifeforms. Emperor Summer was startled. With this strength, even unparalleled existences would be heavily injured in 1 or 2 moves. He would definitely flee and not dare to fight back. This level of combat power, Ying Shan Snow Eagle is able to fight against it just by relying on the arrays of Feishua City. Emperor Summer shook his head. I don't understand. Indeed, he couldn't understand it. The Xia Emperor was able to understand how the formations of Feishua City worked. Emperor Xia was able to see through most of the moves that Dongbua Shuiying had executed, but the might of the moves was beyond his expectations. That surging chaotic origin energy, every move and technique contained a frightening power that startled Emperor Summer. No matter what, even Undying Underworld Emperor could only leave the Feishua City in a miserable state. Let alone us. Ancestor Fan sighed. At least in Feishua City, he is invincible. He has also formed a huge enmity with Undying Underworld Emperor. Undying Underworld Emperor has said that as long as he is discovered coming out, he will kill him. Emperor Tsang said. Emperor Summer sneered. He is merely saying some ruthless words. The moment Snow Eagle conceals and changes his aura, we can't trace him at all. If he stands in front of Undying Underworld Emperor might be able to see through him. But as long as he doesn't take the initiative to appear in front of Undying Underworld Emperor, I don't believe that Undying Underworld Emperor could trace down Dongbua Shuiying in the vast realm Heart Great Land. Seeing through and tracing down were 2 different directions. Undying Underworld Emperor being able to see through was something that startled Emperor Summer. He did not believe that Undying Underworld Emperor could trace down the avatars of Dongbua Shuiying. Right. Ancestor Fan chuckled. Ying Shan Snow Eagle has many avatars scattered across the realm Heart Great Land. If he could trace them down, given the temper of Undying Underworld Emperor, he would have massacred them all. Haha. Emperor Tsang guffawed. As long as he remains low profile, Undying Underworld Emperor can't do anything to Ying Shan Snow Eagle. Unless Ying Shan Snow Eagle reveals his strength. Various organizations were discussing. Summer Wind Ancient Nation and Myriad Realms Ancient Nation had Emperor Summer and Drifter. Hence, they were certain that Dongbua Shuiying was not at the final realm. But other organizations were still puzzled. After all, they could not see through Dongbua Shuiying if they were not final realm experts in the Tao of Void. Only they were certain of one point, Ying Shan Snow Eagle was unparalleled in the Feishua City. This was proven by an earth-shattering battle. Forcing the #1 expert in Realm Heart Great Land, Undying Underworld Emperor, proved how strong Dongbua Shuiying was. According to Old Ancestor, Ying Shan Snow Eagle isn't at the final realm and is still a level 2 cosmos god? What? How could this be possible? Over time, the news of Dongbua Shuiying not reaching the final realm spread. Only many experts felt puzzled. In the sky above Feishua City, Dongbua Shuiying did not care about how the outside world viewed him. Instead, he bowed to Barbaturin, Sword Master, and that Starlight World Master. Many thanks to the 3 of you for coming to help me at this moment. They were willing to stand out and help him at this moment. Dongbua Shuiying felt moved too. Haha, it seems there is no need for us to act at all. The starlight-robed male chuckled. The strength of Monarch Feishua is amazing. Truly amazing. Monarch Feishua is indeed Monarch Feishua. Barbaturin chuckled. He was genuinely grateful to Dongbua Shuiying. He even felt in his heart that this Ying Shan Snow Eagle was an absolute expert with a heaven-defying talent. Unlike him who relied on some shortcuts, this Snow Eagle had cultivated step by step to where he was. Snow Eagle admirable. Sword Master chuckled. There was naturally no need for the 2 of them to speak too much. I can only barely resist against him in Feishua City. If I were in the outer world, I would only be killed. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head with a smile. He then added, the 3 of you, please come to my residence for a gathering. It's fine. The starlight-robed male chuckled. It is time for me to leave. In the future, if Monarch Feishue were to head to the Broken Teeth Mountain Range and coincidentally pass by the Starlight World, you can come and find me. Saying that, his body turned into starlight and dissipated. Definitely. Dongbo Shuang said. Barbaturan and Swordmaster did not decline. They treated Dongbo Shuang as one of their own and directly descended into Feishue City. Dongbo Shuang welcomed the two of them. He brought them into his monarch residence. My Ying Shan clan has given birth to an amazing expert. Old Mother Ying Shan stood at the peak watching as Dongbo Shuang brought Insect Ancestor and Sword Master into his monarch residence. She could not help but feel her heart surging. In terms of strength, any avatar he sent out had the power of a final realm expert. In Feishue City, he could even fight against the #1 expert in Realm Heart Great Land, Undying Underworld Emperor. Amazing. He is actually the child of that son of mine, Ying Shan Laihu? I dare not imagine it. I knew Monarch Feishue would become amazing in the future. I've heard that he suffered a huge loss in the hands of Eternal Night Primogenitor in the Realm Heart God Palace, and I was even feeling vexed for Monarch Feishue. Who would have thought that Monarch Feishue would use the identity of Heaven's Will Taoist to intimidate all devils in Realm Heart Great Land by himself? Even Eternal Night Primogenitor could not deal against him. Even though he offended the more terrifying Undying Underworld Emperor, he could not deal against Feishue City at all. Aha, when Monarch Feishue becomes stronger in the future, who knows, he might become unparalleled. He is building an ancient nation. The surrounding primal chaos experts from Ying Shan clan were all exclaiming in admiration. They felt terrified and uneasy during the battle previously. Because the city was destroyed and they were doomed. And now they were excited and proud. Since the Ying Shan clan produced such an absolute overlord, it was destined that the Ying Shan clan would become extraordinary in the future. Even though they had to stay in Feishue City for a period of time, this was ultimately a huge city. Its population was not any less than that of some Tier 3 nations. They did not feel sullen cultivating here. Instead, they were filled with fighting spirit and anticipation. Monarch residence. Dongbo Shuang invited Barbaturan and Swordmaster to a banquet. The three of them were seated separately. There was a long table in front of them. Dongbo Shuang personally took out some precious wine and rare fruits. Insect Ancestor. Dongbo Shuang raised his wine cup with a smile. This time, it has truly shocked me that you could act. I wonder if you are acquainted with someone from my Ying Shan clan? He did not know this Insect Ancestor at all. I'm old friends with you. Insect Ancestor Ba Tuachin smiled, but his scaly face looked a little strange. Acquainted with me? Dongbo Shuang was startled. Barbaturan did not hide it. After all, there was no longer a need to keep his identity a secret after cultivating to this stage. One could see his body transforming. His appearance changed too, turning into an ordinary and reserved male. He was currently smiling at Dongbo Shuang. Senior Ying Shan Snow Eagle, do you still remember me? Dongbo Shuang widened his eyes. He was filled with disbelief. Ba Tuachin? Chapter 1209. That time in the Thistleflower Nation he saved Ba Tuachin because he saw injustice. Afraid that Ba Tuachin would suffer from revenge in the Thistleflower Nation, Shuang sent him to the largest city in Realm Heart Great Land, Summer Wind Capital. After that, in the Summer Wind Capital, Shuang sensed that Ba Tuachin was in huge trouble through karma. That was why he went to the prison to save him. To Dongbo Shuang, even if it was someone he did not know, Shuang would do his best to save the other party if he encountered injustice or danger. For instance, matters of massacres were monitored by the Southern Cloud Sacred Religion. Shuang would resolve them the moment he discovered them. Ba Tuachin? You are Insect Ancestor? Dongbo Shuang did not dare believe it. Shui Ying's cultivation speed was fast enough. Sword Master had cultivated for a much longer period than him. Nevertheless, reaching the final realm in such a short period was still heaven-defying. But Ba Tuachin was at the Unity realm in the past. In just a short few 100 billion years he reached the final realm? Compared to him, all the other cultivators would feel ashamed. And Insect Ancestor should be the subordinate of that fallen unparalleled existence, devouring realm great emperor. Who is Ba Tuachin? Swordmaster asked from the side. Snow Eagle, you know Insect Ancestor? Barbaturan softly replied, Ba Tuachin is just an ordinary brat. He reached this stage only because of luck. Luck. Dongbo Shuang felt puzzled. Cultivation depended on strength. Even with the world flower and supreme secret importation, it required comprehension ability. Without comprehension ability, how much could he comprehend when the world flower bloomed? How much could he comprehend when the supreme secret importation was placed in front of him? If Monarch Feishua doesn't mind, I shall address you as Big Brother Feishua. Barbaturin chuckled. That is my honor. Dongbua Shuang reacted. He added, this is most likely a secret. There is no need for you to tell us about it, Ba Tuachin. It's nothing much. Barbaturin said, if it were before I reached the final realm, I would still have to be careful. Now that he had reached the ultimate level, there was nothing to be afraid of. Speaking of which, I still have to thank Big Brother Feishua. That time, Big Brother Feishua saved my life and sent me from the Thistleflower Nation to the Summer Wind Capital. I've also joined a sect in Summer Wind Capital and wish to work hard in cultivating. It's just cultivation. How could it be so simple? When I was looking for some cultivation materials in the treasured items market, I found a black insect carving. I felt like it was fated with me. I liked it from the bottom of my heart and bought it. Who would have thought that this would be the inheritance left behind by the fallen Devouring Realm Great Monarch? Devouring Realm Great Emperor? Is that him? Dongbua Shuang and the Sword Master finally understood. Devouring Realm Great Emperor was an unparalleled existence. He created the absolute art for nurturing insects, the Devouring Realm True Scripture. Even now, many who researched on insects worshipped Devouring Realm Great Emperor. There were still many legends about him in the vast realm Heart Great Land. Many experts were searching for the ruins of the Devouring Realm Great Emperor. The two of you should know. Barbaturin said, even though Devouring Realm Great Emperor nurtured insects, the intelligence of the insects isn't high. Their understanding of the laws is extremely low. Hence, Devouring Realm Great Emperor researched out a method to fuse poisonous insects and subordinates into one. A slightly weaker subordinate could immediately become an ultra-strong expert by fusing with a poisonous insect. Dongbua Shuang and the Sword Master nodded. They knew. Devouring Realm Great Emperor relied on this method to form a powerful organization. With Devouring Realm Great Emperor's attainments in nurturing insects, he was able to nurture insects at the final realm. Barbaturin said, Devouring Realm Great Emperor even researched out a method to fuse a final realm insect with a cultivator. It's just that the requirement on the soul is too harsh. Before Devouring Realm Great Emperor could find a suitable cultivator, he suffered from an encirclement. When he suffered from an encirclement, he could only escape. For unparalleled existences to escape, in the past, the battlefield was spread across many places in the realm Heart Great Land. Devouring Realm Great Emperor hid his most precious inheritance. Instead, he deliberately left behind an original copy of the Devouring Realm True Scripture. That's because it isn't that easy to improve the Tao of insect. I obtained his inheritance because my soul just so happened to be able to fuse with that ultimate insect beast. Insect ancestor Ba Tuachin laughed. However, I was too weak back then. If I tried to forcefully fuse with it, I would only be courting death. I could only strengthen my fleshy body and soul first. After that, I would gradually fuse them together. As the fusion reached a higher level, I would become stronger until I reached the final realm. Dongbua Shuang and the Sword Master were both startled when they heard that. They knew. Devouring Realm Great Emperor had subordinates, and they knew that he fused his poisonous insects with his subordinates, allowing them to rapidly improve in strength. But it was fine if they could reach level 2 Cosmos God strength. Who would have thought that such a method could allow them to reach the final realm? But thinking about it, like the 9 Eternal Night Walkers under Eternal Night Primogenitor, the strongest had the strength of a Paragon Master. Perhaps they might not be as perfect as Barbaturin, but in reality Paragon Masters had reached the final realm in certain aspects. I'm different from you all. Ba Tuachin shook his head. My path of improvement is practically cut off. I can only follow the guidance of Devouring Realm Great Emperor and think of ways to perfect it. If I want to improve further? Unless I reach the final realm in the Tao of insect. By nurturing my own insect, I'll let them continue growing. And allowing a final realm insect to grow stronger is something Devouring Realm Great Emperor could not do in the past. As for the realm, my personal realm is very low. I haven't even reached the Cosmos God realm in my comprehension of the laws. I'm purely relying on the techniques my final realm insect possesses. Ba Tuachin said. He was willing to publicize it because he was willing to inform Snow Eagle. The destruction of his clan, he lived alone in this world. In his heart, Ba Tuachin did not have any relatives left. He even felt that Snow Eagle was the closest person to him. Bewitching sword, I hope for you to keep the matter regarding Ba Tua Chen a secret. Dongbo Shuiying turned to Sword Master. Naturally, since Ba Tua Chen is willing to let me know of this secret, why would I spread it? Sword Master added. He was a prideful person. Since Ba Tua Chen told him about it, he was naturally not willing to be a vile person. Even though Ba Tua Chen was not afraid of the news leaking with his current strength. Otherwise he would not have made a deal with Undying Underworld Emperor. But it was better not to publicize it. Because if he publicized it, more unparalleled existences would likely have their eyes on Ba Tua Chen. Bewitching Sword Master, I admire you for acting for Big Brother Feishua. Ba Tua Chen looked at Sword Master with a smile. My relationship with Snow Eagle is different from others. Sword Master said, talking about it, the two of us came from the same origin world. The two of us reincarnated. In the other origin world, the two of us came from the same religion. Barbaturin was startled. What a coincidence. It seems your origin world is very powerful too, since your religion could produce two ultra-powerful experts at the same time. Barbaturin sighed. Dongbo Shuiying and Sword Master chuckled. But they did not elaborate any further. I can't compare with Bewitching Sword. He has reached the final realm. Dongbo Shuiying said. You have yet to reach the final realm, yet you could still fight against Undying Underworld Emperor. Bewitching Sword Master said. Insect Ancestor asked with shock. You have yet to reach the final realm? But your strength. That's right. The two of us have obtained a supreme secret importation. But how did you become so strong by relying on Feishua City? Bewitching Sword Master asked. Everyone treated each other with sincerity. Furthermore, with their current strength, they naturally did not mind sharing the secret. Because of this, Dongbo Shuiying extended his hand. A black spear appeared in his hand. This spear is called Azure River. It is a chaotic origin weapon. Chaotic origin weapon? Both Bewitching Sword Master and Insect Ancestor felt puzzled. A chaotic origin weapon is rarer and more precious than supreme graded secret treasures. Dongbo Shuiying said, without it I could merely fight against ordinary unparalleled existences in Feishua City. With it, Undying Underworld Emperor could not deal against me. At the moment when Dongbo Shuiying told Bewitching Sword Master and Insect Ancestor about the chaotic origin weapon. Over the Realm Heart Great Land, a piece of news regarding the chaotic origin weapon was rapidly spreading. Yingshan Snow Eagle owns a chaotic origin weapon. A chaotic origin weapon is a weapon more precious than supreme graded secret treasures. Owning this weapon would greatly aid in controlling the chaotic origin energy. He is a level 2 cosmos god, yet he relied on this chaotic origin weapon to resist against me in his Feishua City. A chaotic origin weapon is mysterious and unfathomable. A level 2 cosmos god could greatly increase his strength by using it. If a final realm cultivator were to obtain it, it would be even more helpful than supreme graded secret treasures. No matter which Dao path a final realm cultivator cultivates, as long as he wields a chaotic origin weapon, he could easily control the chaotic origin energy. That would greatly increase his strength. This piece of news spread rapidly among the experts in Realm Heart Great Land. Everyone could see it. Undying Underworld Emperor had a sinister motive for spreading this piece of news. But many parties could not help but be tempted by it. A chaotic origin weapon could give a level 2 cosmos god such strength? This chaotic origin weapon is too formidable. Many parties were startled. Many experts felt greedy for it. Even Emperor Summer and the others were enlightened. I was wondering why his technique could be so powerful with the arrays of Feishua City supporting it. So it turns out that he wields a chaotic origin weapon. Emperor Summer sighed. A chaotic origin weapon is even more precious than supreme graded secret treasures? At this moment, Emperor Summer thought of the large amount of chaotic origin sand Dongbo Shuiying bought. This is the first time I heard of this chaotic origin weapon. Ancestor Fan's eyes brightened too. When Undying Underworld Emperor spread the news, unparalleled existences and final realm cultivators only learned of the existence of the chaotic origin weapon. And the majority of cosmos gods were too weak. They did not dare to think of snatching the chaotic origin weapon. They were only startled. Monarch Feishua is actually a level 2 cosmos god. Previously, the drifter from the Myriad Realms ancient nation spread the news saying that Monarch Feishua is a level 2 cosmos god. But now it seems he is indeed a level 2 cosmos god. A level 2 cosmos god could actually be so powerful? Unfathomable. A level 2 cosmos god could suppress all devils in Realm Heart Great Land? And he could be truly unparalleled in Feishua City? Amazing. Too formidable. Admirable. Regardless of whether they were jealous or greedy, the entire Realm Heart Great Land gradually recognized this monarch Feishua as the strongest Paragon Master in the history of Realm Heart Great Land. He was much stronger than Great Paragon Fui Jia Luosha and others. Many cultivators even naturally addressed him as Great Paragon Feishua. Great Paragon Feishua, the strongest Great Paragon in the history of Realm Heart Great Land. End of this chapter. Asterisk asterisk. Chapter 12:10. Feishua City was vast. There were many mountain peaks and valleys within. For instance, Old Mother Ying Shan occupied a mountain range and built her cavern dwelling there. Within one of the valleys, Dongbo Shuiying, Barbaturin, and Sword Master were currently sparring with each other. Ping ping ping. Barbaturin was constantly flashing and transforming. With a flap of his wings, his speed was fast to the limit. And Dongbo Shuiying wielded his Azure River Spear. Even though he did not activate the arrays of Feishua City, he was still able to force Barbaturin into a slightly difficult situation. Many places in this valley had already turned into powder. Naturally, there were arrays isolating it from the outside as well. Hence, the battle between the three would not affect the outside world. Stop, stop, stop. Barbaturin shouted out, "It is indeed a chaotic origin weapon. It is formidable. It seems that the news released by that undying underworld emperor is somewhat true." True. Bullshit. Dongbo Shuiying stopped. His temper was relatively good, yet he could not help but scold. What else did he say? No matter which Dao a final realm cultivator obtains a chaotic origin weapon, they would become much stronger. What nonsense. This chaotic origin weapon has been personally refined by me. That is why I can refine it. Other than me, no other cosmos gods can refine it. Furthermore, this is a weapon that is compatible with the supreme secret importation I obtained. Cultivators of other Dao paths can't use it even if they could refine it. Not to mention, I can't even refine it. Haha, big brother Feishua, who asked you to shock the entire Realm Heart Great Land with a single battle. You even formed a huge enmity with Undying Underworld Emperor. It is normal for him to scheme against you. Barbaturin chuckled. You don't have to care about it. In Feishua City, even Undying Underworld Emperor could not deal with Snow Eagle. It is even more impossible for other unparalleled existences to do so. Swordmaster said. Even Emperor Summer was weaker by an entire level. Dongbo Shuiying shook his head. It is still troublesome. Greedy heart. Why did Devouring Realm Great Emperor and other unparalleled existences die? Some died after entering the Broken Teeth Mountain range. There were also some who died from being besieged by unparalleled existences in the Realm Heart Great Land. At the end of the day, it was all because of greed. To put it nicely, it was all because they wanted to go further on the path of cultivation. Snow Eagle, let's have a match. The Sword Master laughed. All right. Dongbo Shuiying's eyes lit up. Be careful. As he spoke, the Azure River Spear in his hand instantly pierced out. This spear had already triggered the void, causing the entire void to turn dark. Amidst the darkness, endless chaotic origin energy flowed out like a maelstrom along with the Azure River Spear, stabbing toward Sword Master. The tip of the spear didn't even need to touch the enemy for the terrifying power of the stab to be transmitted through the void to the Sword Master. Wang. On the surface of the Sword Master's body, countless sword lights shot up into the sky. It protected his body and withstood against this attack. Even though this protective technique he comprehended from a supreme secret importation was formidable, he could still feel a part of the bizarre penetrative force transmitted into his body. Nevertheless, his body was like the convergence of countless sword lights that rapidly destroyed the incoming force. Nonetheless, he still staggered back a step. The Tao of Void is indeed interesting. The Sword Master guffawed. Receive a sword of mine too. Wah! A sword light flashed. A blood light flashed before arriving before Dongbo Shuiying. It seemed silent, yet it startled Dongbo Shuiying. He lightly spun his spear, causing many layers of space to obstruct the incoming attack. Nonetheless, that blood light was incredibly strange. It easily penetrated through the layers of space without suffering any damage. The power of the blood light was merely weakened by 30 to 40% before it pierced into the body of Dongbo Shuiying. Even after using the pinnacle of voidification to dissipate the incoming force, a wound still appeared on the chest of Dongbo Shuiying. One could see with the naked eye that the wound was rapidly healing. Your fleshy body is really strong. The sword master could not help but comment. Your sword is the one that is hard to deal with. The spear in Dongbo Shui Ying's hand suddenly stirred, causing the world to become turbulent. Both parties fought. One side used the Tao of destruction. He was executing techniques that were imbued with a supreme secret impartation. On the other side, Dongbo Shui Ying wielded his chaotic origin weapon. The techniques he executed using the Tao of Void were also very close. But it was clear that Dongbo Shui Ying was at a disadvantage. Snow Eagle, don't you have many avatars? Use all your techniques at once. The sword master urged. Aha, you are the one who asked for it. Dongbo Shui Ying guffawed. An enormous void fire lotus flower appeared by the side. 9 Dongbo Shui Ying stood on the dazzling void fire lotus flower. All of them were executing their techniques at the same time. If one said that Dongbo Shui Ying had 30% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's strength when he wielded his Azure River Spear, those 9 great avatars working together with the Void Fire Lotus Flower were roughly 30% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's strength, because each of the 9 avatars had 70% of his soul when he was at his peak state. And because he had absorbed the core blood of Myriad Tentacles Dragon Mother, even with 70% of his soul, every avatar was not any weaker than the soul of an ordinary Final Realm expert. It was sufficient for him to execute ordinary techniques using his heart energy. 9 Final Realm experts were also augmented by the world energy of the Void Fire Lotus Flower. More importantly, the Void Fire Lotus Flower contained the Final Realm Tao of Void. Through the Final Realm Tao of Void combined techniques, the 9 great avatars were able to work together. That was why the effects were so great. Previously, his strength was several times stronger than without the Void Fire Lotus Flower. But now that he had a chaotic origin weapon, there was still an awkward point. That was because he only had a single chaotic origin weapon, Azure River Spear. The avatar wielding the Azure River Spear could unleash a strength that far surpassed other avatars. The other 9 avatars and the Void Fire Lotus Flower could only match up. If the gap was too huge, there was not much meaning in a combined attack. But Feishua City was different. There were many arrays constructed within Feishua City, and that was just a small part of it. There were arrays in the Monarch residence too. Furthermore, Dongbo Shui Ying carried the most crucial core with him at all times. With a thought. Then he would be able to activate many formations and unleash his own powerful killer move. These arrays were created by fusing the Chaotic Origin 7 strikes. They were good at controlling the Chaotic Origin energy. When used together with the Chaotic Origin weapon, it was a perfect match. But the world energy of the Void Fire Lotus Flower was much weaker when used together with the Azure River Spear. Hong Hong Hong, the 9 great avatars of the Void Fire Lotus Flower began executing a combined technique. Another avatar wielded the Azure River Spear and attacked too. Despite working together, they were still forced into a difficult situation by Sword Master. After all, Sword Master had 80% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's strength when he unleashed his full strength. It is more suitable to execute a domain technique together with the Azure River Spear. Dongbo Shui Ying experimented several times before changing his technique. 1. The 9 great avatars executed a combined technique, executing their strongest domain technique. The Void Fire Lotus Flower itself was a world treasure, and it specialized in domains. Hung Long Long, the powerful domain was like an undercurrent that pushed against Sword Master. For a moment, Sword Master was constantly being suppressed by the domain. Furthermore, the power of the domain was constantly fluctuating, greatly affecting the strength of Sword Master. Following that, Dongbo Shui Ying wielded the Azure River Spear and fought against Sword Master. Even though he did not gain the upper hand, he was clearly having a much easier time. Ha ha ha. Dongbo Shui Ying finally laughed. This domain of yours is really giving me a headache. Sword Master felt uncomfortable too. Even though he had obtained a supreme secret impartation and had a domain technique, it could not be compared to the Void Fire Lotus Flower, which was a world treasure. With the 9 great avatars working together, this domain was incredibly powerful. Both parties stopped and descended to the ground. Even if you are fighting against Eternal Night Primogenitor in the outside world, you should have an easy time. Sword Master chuckled. What a pity. As long as I create a huge disturbance outside, that undying underworld emperor will definitely kill his way over. Dongbo Shui Ying shook his head. Even though my domain is formidable, it is still not strong enough in the eyes of unparalleled existences who specialized in domains. In front of undying underworld emperor, the descent of his death world is sufficient to suppress my domain. My domain can't help me at all. If I fight with him with my chaotic origin weapon, I might even be killed by him if I'm slow in escaping. It's fine if an avatar is destroyed, but the loss of my chaotic origin weapon is something I can't accept. Swordmaster nodded. Suppressing the enemy with a domain might be enjoyable. But if the enemy's domain was stronger, then Dongbo Shui Ying's domain techniques would be suppressed. Are you not planning on bringing your chaotic origin weapon with you in the future? Swordmaster asked. No. Dongbo Shui Ying shook his head. Wait until the day I break through to the final realm. That will be the day when I can bring my chaotic origin weapon out of Feishua City. Right. That undying underworld emperor has been stirring up trouble and spreading the news. That battle with Big Brother Feishua is too shocking. There will definitely be many who are greedy. They would not dare to come and seek death in Feishua City. But if they were to leave, that would be troublesome. Barbaturin agreed. MNMN Snow Eagle, your accumulations and cultivation are quite deep. If you wish to break through to the final realm, you just have to break through at a crucial moment. Swordmaster said. Break through again? I know I can break through again. But this final step is incredibly difficult. Dongbo Shui Ying shook his head. Honored guest Feishua. A voice suddenly resounded in the surroundings. Dongbo Shui Ying, Swordmaster, and Barbaturin turned over. They saw the world energy condensing by the side. It condensed into the figures of Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, and Emperor Tsang. But these were condensed from the world energy. They were merely incarnations. Clearly, Emperor Summer and the others did not have any enmity when they sent their incarnations. Otherwise, Dongbo Shui Ying would naturally be on his guard when their true bodies came. Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, Emperor Tsang. Dongbo Shui Ying immediately greeted with a smile. It is the honor of my Feishua City for the three of you to visit my Feishua City. Haha. Who doesn't know the name of great Paragon Feishua? Even Underworld Emperor has to retreat in Feishua City. Emperor Summer laughed. Dongbo Shui Ying welcomed the guests with a smile. But in his heart, he vaguely understood that the other party's arrival was related to the chaotic origin weapon. Today I'll update it once, so I'll sort out a little and prepare for the new, ultimate, chapter. Star. Chapter 12:11. The three unparalleled existences, Emperor Summer, Ancestor Fan, and Emperor Tsang arrived. Swordmaster had an extraordinary relationship with them. Hence, he merely exchanged glances with them. And Barbaturin's gaze turned cold. He did not say anything. He had become enemies with the Fan clan and even killed experts from the Fan clan. Offending the Fan clan was equivalent to offending the three great clans in the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Given Barbaturin's personality, he disdained lowering his head. Insect Ancestor. Ancestor Fan spoke. He chuckled. I've heard that you have some enmity with some juniors from my Fan clan. I wonder when did those juniors offend you? You have followed Devouring Realm Great Emperor for a very long time, and those juniors from my Fan clan should not have the chance to become enemies with you, right? If it were the real Insect Ancestor, he would naturally not become enemies. But Ba Tua Chen had fused with a Final Realm insect, allowing him to perfectly disguise himself as Insect Ancestor. As for the real Insect Ancestor, in reality he had died a very long time ago. It's just that he died stealthily. Hence, Barbaturin chose to disguise himself in order to keep a low profile and conceal his rapid rise. As for now, even though he was not afraid of revealing his identity, he still chose to act as Insect Ancestor to avoid trouble. Anyway, his family and friends were no longer around. Even though this vast realm Heart Great Land was vast, he was just a lone person. Instead, it was his benefactor, Yingshan Snow Eagle, who was the closest to him. Barbaturin coldly snorted. He has no enmity with me, but he has enmity with my disciple. Fan clan, your juniors are truly tyrannical. It's a pity that I won't tolerate them bullying me. Ha, it's just a minor matter. You are also a good friend of Honored Guest Feishua, and Honored Guest Feishua has a deep relationship with my Fan clan. Why don't we forget about some past enmity? Ancestor Fan chuckled. He was high above and naturally did not care about the minor enmity between disciples from the Fan clan. After all, the Fan clan was too big. It's just that Insect Ancestor was a Final Realm expert and had no worries. Such an enemy was not suitable to become enemies, because he was fearless and could not be killed. Rest assured, I've killed those who should be killed. I won't implicate those who should not be killed. Barbaturin coldly snorted. Ah. Ancestor Fan chuckled and nodded. He felt that this insect ancestor's personality was sufficiently cold. He turned to Dongbu Shuang, honored guest Fei Shue. I heard that you suffered a huge loss in the Realm Heart God Palace and was killed by Eternal Night Primogenitor, with all your treasures stolen. Now it seems that your true harvest in the Realm Heart God Palace should be a supreme secret importation. Emperor Xia and Emperor Tsang looked at Dongbu Shuang as well. Yes. Dongbu Shuang nodded. The first time I entered the Realm Heart God Palace, I was fortunate to obtain it. This is my first time entering as well. Lord Bewitching Sword sighed. The two of you came from the same origin world and the same sect. Your innate talents and comprehension abilities are really high. Emperor Summer sighed. In the past, when Yuan created the Realm Heart Great Land and Realm Heart God Palace, it is much harder to obtain a supreme graded secret importation than a supreme graded secret treasure. Now that the two of you have obtained it, as long as you reach 10% of the final realm, you can enter the Realm Heart God Palace and obtain supreme graded secret treasures easily. Bewitching Sword has already broken through to the final realm. As for honored guest Fei Shue, I believe he will reach it soon. Dongbu Shuang shook his head with a helpless smile. I wish to step into the final realm too. But how could this step be that simple? I wish to ask. That chaotic origin weapon of yours should be refined using chaotic origin sand, right? Emperor Summer asked. Emperor Summer knows about it? Dongbu Shuang was startled. He had only told Insect Ancestor and Sword Master about it. Even if Sword Master were to inform Emperor Summer and the others, he would still inform Shuang beforehand. It is just a conjecture. Emperor Summer said, in the past you were killed in the Realm Heart God Palace. Your avatar was destroyed and you did not bring any treasures out. The only thing you could bring out is your memories. In addition to the 50,000 kilograms of chaotic origin sand that you bought from me previously, I deduced that it should be a chaotic origin weapon refined by you. Yes. Dongbu Shuang nodded. He did not hide it. It's just that this inheritance, you should know that it cannot be spread out. Emperor Summer, Emperor Tsang and Ancestor Fan understood. Supreme secret importation and many other precious inheritances could not be spread out even though they were imparted by Yuan. The chaotic origin Dao scroll and unphased mystical technique that they spread out were created by Emperor Summer and others. The few of us have cultivated to this stage. Our next step is to jump out of this cage and become a chaotic origin weapon. Emperor Summer said. Emperor Tsang and Ancestor Fan turned to Dongbu Shuang too. Emperor Summer continued solemnly, we will naturally not believe the news spread by that undying underworld emperor. But we have never heard of a chaotic origin weapon before. Hence, I hope you can introduce it to us so that we can understand it better. Dongbu Shuang chuckled, this is simple. He understood the Tao heart of Emperor Summer and the others. How much they desired to jump out of the cage. Like Emperor Summer, he was previously the #1 expert in Realm Heart Great Land. Even Undying Underworld Emperor could only suppress Emperor Summer by using his trump card. It was lonely being an expert. Emperor Summer was truly lonely. He desired to jump out of the cage too much. If Emperor Summer could not satisfy this little request of theirs, he would be offending them. The chaotic origin weapon is originally a weapon used by chaotic origin lifeforms. Dongbu Shuang explained, us cosmos gods can't use it under normal circumstances, and it is impossible for us to refine it. But, Yuan has thought of a way to let me personally refine a chaotic origin weapon. Because during the refinement process, every single material has been refined by me. Hence, it is relatively easier to refine the weapon successfully. Because for a cosmos god like me to refine it successfully, firstly, it must be a Tao that I specialize in. Secondly, it must be simple enough. Hence, this chaotic origin weapon is a Tao of Void chaotic origin weapon. Furthermore, compared to true chaotic origin weapons, it has been simplified. Emperor Summer, Emperor Tsang, and Ancestor Fan softly nodded. Please have a look. Dongbu Shuang extended his hand. The Azure River Spear appeared in his palm. He slightly activated it, causing many inscriptions to appear on the Azure River Spear. You will understand once you see it. Emperor Summer, Emperor Tsang, and Ancestor Fan carefully observed it. Emperor Tsang and Ancestor Fan were slightly puzzled too. Emperor Summer immediately understood more than half of the inscriptions. He understood everything related to the Tao of Void. But there were still many aspects that he was puzzled about. If he had the supreme secret importation to guide and analyze the inscriptions, it would naturally be easier for him to understand. but it was hard to fully comprehend just the inscriptions that appeared on the surface. After all, there were many techniques that involved the chaotic origin energy. They were truly exquisite and extraordinary. Furthermore, some of the inscriptions that were refined by Dongbo Shui-Ying were purely carving them according to the prescribed order. He understood how to break them down, but fusing them into a whole was something he did not understand. It is indeed a Tao of Void chaotic origin weapon. Emperor Summer nodded. It is useless to obtain other Tao paths. Furthermore, it seems to specialize in controlling the chaotic origin weapon. Honored guest Feishua, many thanks. It allows us to directly observe the inscriptions on the chaotic origin weapon. Dongbo Shui-Ying chuckled. It's a minor matter. How difficult was it to deduce a cultivation technique just by looking at the inscriptions? Just like supreme graded secret treasures, there were quite a few in the entire Realm Heart Great Land. The inscriptions on supreme graded secret treasures would appear the moment they were activated. But so what if others saw it? Final realm cultivators would only feel confused when looking at the profound mysteries related to the chaotic origin level. The complexity of a chaotic origin weapon was not any weaker than supreme graded secret treasures. Dongbo Shui-Ying had to break it down into many small steps before he succeeded. In the following days there were many who came to visit Dongbo Shui-Ying. The 5 ancestors from the Myriad Realms Ancient Nation also came in 2 batches. Towering Sky Ancient Nation and Icy Snow Ancient Nation came to visit. Dongbo Shui-Ying received them one by one. He was also very generous in allowing them to view the inscriptions on the chaotic origin weapon. Actually, in the entire Realm Heart Great Land, only Drifter and Emperor Summer could understand more than half of the inscriptions. Furthermore, they mainly understood the portion related to the Tao of Void. Others were in a daze. They could only vaguely ascertain that those inscriptions were related to the Tao of Void. In addition, Drifter and Emperor Summer had publicly announced that it was a Tao of Void chaotic origin weapon. Only experts in the Tao of Void could use it. Furthermore, it was practically impossible for Cosmos gods to refine it. In reality, he was giving face to Dongbo Shui-Ying by saying, practically impossible to refine it. Emperor Summer was close to Dongbo Shui-Ying. And Drifter had a transcendent personality, and Dongbo Shui-Ying treated him very politely. That gave Drifter a favorable impression of Dongbo Shui-Ying. That was why he publicly announced these. In addition to Dongbo Shui-Ying's strength, he could be said to be the strongest expert in Realm Heart Great Land in Feishua City. Undying Underworld Emperor originally wanted to use this opportunity to bring trouble to Dongbo Shui-Ying, yet he failed. Moonflower King? Someone like him wishes to see the inscriptions on my chaotic origin weapon? Dongbo Shui-Ying directly expelled the incarnation of the other party. Moonflower King, Eternal Night Primogenitor, Extreme Night Primogenitor, and other Final Realm Great Devils were not given any face by Dongbo Shui-Ying. Wanting to see the chaotic origin weapon? Dream on. Regardless, he had already offended them. Dongbo Shui-Ying did not show any mercy when he killed the devils from the Moonflower Ancient Nation. Chapter 12:12. The night was as cold as water. Within the cold underground palace, the palace itself was huge. Through the void array, it revealed an even vaster space. The palace had 6 levels. The upper 3 floors were the residences of the Hall Master and his disciples. The lower 3 levels were where the experiments were conducted. Currently in the lowest level, this level was dark. The ground was suffused with a crimson color, and the stench of blood permeated the place. I finally gathered all the experimental materials. The eyes of the black-robed Hall Master were filled with anticipation. He took out a jade bottle and pulled out the cork. At that moment, hua hua hua, countless figures flew out. Trillions of cultivators were teleported out. These cultivators who were released looked around them uneasily. Dark. The crimson ground was emitting a stench of blood. This made them even more uneasy. I have to be fast. Any delay might lead to unforeseen circumstances. Damn that great paragon Feishua. Why is he so nosy? Why does he care about the lives of these ants? The black-robed Hall Master thought, it makes me even more careful in my experiments. I don't dare to experiment with too many materials. But this time it is too important. I must have enough experimental bodies. I can't care anymore. I'll do it as soon as possible. The black-robed Hall Master felt sullen too. He originally researched the fleshy body and soul of cultivators. He experimented time and time again to explore his Tao of cultivation. Ever since Heaven's Will Taoist appeared, he became much more careful. Every time he experimented, he would use fewer materials. Small-scale massacres were all too common in the realm Heart Great Land. Some of the grudges and killings in the realm Heart Great Land resulted in the deaths of more than 10,000 beings. Dongbo Shuiying could not interfere even if he wanted to. Only when large-scale massacres occurred would he interfere. It's just that some experiments required a large number of experimental bodies. I've collected enough materials for a single experiment. This time I must succeed. I'll risk it. The Black-Robed Palace Master suddenly appeared in mid-air in this layer of space. His massive body shadow caused the countless living beings below to be filled with fear. The Black-Robed Palace Master's massive body enveloped the area below. His cold eyes displayed the art of fear, causing these living beings to be even more terrified and panicked. I only need 10 subordinates. Those who can't handle it will die. Just as he finished speaking, the Black-Robed Hall Master began scattering down endless violet light spots. The violet light spots were still descending. A white-robed youth appeared in mid-air, staring coldly at the Black-Robed Palace Master. Great Sovereign Feishue. The Black-Robed Palace Master's legs went limp. He was afraid of this, but no matter how afraid he was still discovered by Supreme Sovereign Feishue. The Black-Robed Palace Master roared, "You can't kill me. I'm just cultivating." Phew. Dongbo Shuiying waved his hand and countless purple specks of light dissipated into nothingness. For cultivation? Dongbo Shuiying asked coldly. I'm cultivating in the body tempering school. I'm also studying the soul. I need to experiment, roared the Black-Robed Palace Master. I'm not a fiend. I just want to experiment. Dongbo Shuiying looked down and said, 380 billion cultivators, all for the sake of an experiment. Are you not a demon? Is it wrong for me to use some ants to experiment? The Black-Robed Palace Master roared. Then in my eyes you are just an ant. Dongbo Shuiying waved his hand, causing the location where the Black-Robed Palace Master was at to be suppressed into a painting. As this painting dissipated, the Black-Robed Palace Master also dissipated into nothingness. Dongbo Shuiying's expression changed. Not good. Oh. The entire palace suddenly exploded. Dongbo Shuiying immediately controlled the void to protect all innocent sentient beings. Even the original disciples and subordinates of that Black-Robed Palace Master were protected by Dongbo Shuiying as long as they did not have much resentment in their karma. As for those with terrifying resentment, they were exterminated along with the explosion. South, bringing along all sentient beings, Dongbo Shuiying teleported to the wilderness by the side. They actually left behind a backup plan. The moment they die, the entire cavern dwelling will self-destruct? Dongbo Shuiying snorted coldly. This self-destruction might pose some threat to the most ordinary cosmos gods, but to him, his domain could protect any sentient being he wanted. Quite a huge disturbance. A voice sounded. Dongbo Shuiying's expression changed. In this vast wilderness, the sentient beings who were originally saved were still feeling excited. Some of the subordinates of the Black-Robed Palace Master were feeling uneasy. But suddenly, a terrifying darkness descended. This darkness covered the world and swept across everything. Those sentient beings were exterminated soundlessly within the darkness. Dongbo Shuiying was also blasted backwards. He spurted out fresh blood before stopping in midair. Quite a huge disturbance. That frivolous voice was still reverberating by his ears. Dongbo Shuiying stared afar. A figure appeared in midair. He was none other than the handsome young man wearing a crown and wearing a luxurious golden robe, Undying Underworld Emperor. He looked at Dongbo Shuiying with a smile that did not seem like one. The trillion sentient beings you saved were exterminated instantaneously. Do you feel unhappy? Dongbo Shuiying's expression turned ashen. He was naturally furious. So many innocent sentient beings were exterminated just like that. Ha ha. Undying Underworld Emperor casually laughed. I've said it before. As long as you dare to leave Feishue City, I'll exterminate you every time I discover you. Since you want to save those ants, I'll exterminate them. Haha, if you didn't act, perhaps some of them might survive this calamity. But if you chose to save them, you won't be able to save a single one of them. This time it's my carelessness. The next time I save them, I'll immediately bring them back to Feishue City. Dongbo Shuiying coldly replied. Haha, bring them back to Feishue City? Simple. I'll purposely create a massacre. Undying Underworld Emperor chuckled. If you kill too many, you might be killed by Yuan. Dongbo Shuiying coldly said. Rest assured. I won't personally act. I'll let my subordinates do it. Undying Underworld Emperor grinned. Then your subordinates will all be killed by me. Dongbu Shuang replied. Rest assured, I'm very good at stirring up wars and massacres. Undying Underworld Emperor looked at Dongbu Shuang. By then wouldn't you feel heartache when batches of sentient beings die? Are you furious? If it were those who treated the weak as ants, they would naturally not care. Some of the more selfish ones would not care either. Undying Underworld Emperor was simply taking advantage of the personality of Dongbu Shuang. After all, Undying Underworld Emperor was filled with fury. The previous sacrificial ritual was disrupted, causing him to suffer a huge loss. When I was weak, even though there were blood sacrifices and massacres in the realm Heart Great Land, I faced them calmly. Dongbu Shuang said, I'll naturally act if I can. Even if I can't save them, I have no other choice. I'll do my best and have a clear conscience. Saying that, Dongbu Shuang turned around and left. Undying Underworld Emperor immediately sent a palm over. Endless darkness engulfed the area. Dongbu Shuang coldly chuckled. He took the initiative to dissipate this avatar. He had many avatars and they cultivated very quickly. Hence he did not care about it. Undying Underworld Emperor did not lie. He had indeed begun stirring up some chaotic disputes and massacres. Even though he did not act personally, he was the one behind the scenes. Fortunately, those with some background and strength knew how intimidating Great Paragon Feishu was. They did not dare to start a massacre. Damn. Madman. It seems this Undying Underworld Emperor has a huge hatred for me. Dongbu Shuang was relatively furious in Feishua City. South, a figure appeared. Swordmaster. Dongbu Shuang looked up. Swordmaster descended from midair and sat opposite Dongbu Shuang. He took up Dongbu Shuang's wine flask and poured himself a cup of wine. After drinking a cup, he chuckled, Undying Underworld Emperor has stirred up some disputes and massacres against you, right? Yes. Dongbu Shuang nodded and coldly said, This Undying Underworld Emperor has done such things just to vent his anger. That's because he feels that his losses are too huge. Furthermore, he has fallen in your hands. That is a form of humiliation. Swordmaster said, If you are strong enough to threaten him, he would be more cautious. Dongbu Shuang nodded. The moment he left Feishua City, he would be trampled by Undying Underworld Emperor. That was why he acted so wantonly. Furthermore, Snow Eagle, even though our hometown is still a long time away from the Great Apocalypse. Swordmaster said, But you have to reach the final realm as soon as possible. Even though I have reached the final realm, I do not know the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique. You have to reach the final realm before you can bring someone away by relying on the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique. Amen. Dongbu Shuang nodded. He had never relaxed before. You have been cultivating here and are stuck at a bottleneck. I feel that it is more suitable for you to go out and experience some life and death experiences. Swordmaster said, I plan on making a trip to the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. You should come with me. An insect ancestor too. If he is willing, he can come along too. Going to the Broken Tooth Mountain Range? The eyes of Dongbu Shuang brightened. The Broken Tooth Mountain Range was indeed dangerous. Even unparalleled existences might fall there. But he had avatars and was not afraid of dying. I have just reached the final realm and plan on exploring the place. Furthermore, I have a destination in mind. Swordmaster chuckled. The Summer Wind Ancient Nation's understanding of the Broken Tooth Mountain Range is much deeper than the Southern Cloud Nation. You have a destination? Dongbu Shuang nodded, All right. I am naturally willing to go. As for Ba Tuachen, I'll go ask him. Chapter 12-13. Very soon. Barbaturin arrived at Feishua City. As the three of them sat down, Dongbu Shuang naturally prepared the delicacies and wine for them. Go, of course we're going. Barbaturin's cold eyes contained the coldness unique to insects. However, at this moment, his eyes were burning with excitement. I've long wanted to go to Broken Teeth Mountain Range. It's just that I'm too weak. If I were to go with Brother Feishua and Brother Bewitching Sword, I would naturally be more than happy to go. Dongbu Shuang hurriedly said, Ba Tuachen, Bewitching Sword and I both have avatars. Even if we die in Broken Teeth Mountain Range, it's just a small matter. What about you? Barbaturin's body suddenly dissipated, turning into countless insects. Following which, he condensed and sat there chuckling, In terms of strength, I'm slightly weaker than the two of you, Brother Feishua. However, in terms of survivability, Even if my true body is destroyed, I can still come back to life. It's just that I'll need more time. In reality, I can no longer be considered an ordinary cultivator. Instead, I should be considered a final realm insect. Devouring Realm Great Emperor wasn't willing to fuse his body with the insect, turning into an insect and being restricted by the insect. However, he still lost his life in the end. If he had become a final realm insect earlier, he wouldn't have died so easily. Final realm insect? Dongbu Shuiying and Swordmaster nodded slightly when they heard this. Insect beasts were nurtured. Nurturing them wasn't as careful as cultivating. Nurturing them was usually even crazier. For example, letting billions of weak insect beasts kill and devour each other to determine the strongest one. This was considered a low-level selection method. Letting the insect beasts eat all sorts of unique items. For example, the treasures found in Broken Teeth Mountain Range would be fed to the insect beasts. During the process of nurturing the insect beasts, although the devouring realm Great Emperor had comprehended the Tao of laws, this Tao was extremely harsh on the insect beasts. However, the insect beasts he researched were also extremely monstrous. Insect beasts were also at the final realm, but they could fly faster than ordinary cultivators. Their bodies were even more terrifying. Even a drop of blood could be highly toxic. The devouring realm Great Emperor had researched the fusion method of ultimate realm insect beasts, but every ultimate realm insect beast had extremely strict requirements for the soul of the fusion cultivator. Ba Tuachen's successful fusion was indeed due to luck. All right. Dongbu Shuiying nodded his head. It's good that Ba Tuachen has the confidence to survive. We're all prepared to die this time. Yes. The sword master nodded. I'm afraid you two know very little about the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. I'll send you a piece of information. Information about the Broken Teeth Mountain Range was precious. Even though Dongbu Shuiying had a relationship with Southern Cloud King and understood some intelligence, the Southern Cloud King was too weak. Naturally, his intelligence could not compare with that of the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Ba Tuachen even had the inheritance of the Devouring Realm Great Monarch. His understanding of the Broken Teeth Mountain Range was probably above Dongbu Shuiying. It is indeed the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Their understanding of the Broken Teeth Mountain Range far surpasses that of Devouring Realm Great Emperor. Barbaturin checked through before revealing a joyous look. Many thanks, brother Bewitching Sword. Since we're heading there together, it's merely a piece of information. But the two of you just don't spread it out. The sword master chuckled. His current status in the Summer Wind Ancient Nation was incredibly high, and this piece of information was not considered much. In reality, this was just 90% of the information that the Summer Wind Ancient Nation had on the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. The remaining 10% was not something that Sword Master could spread out. That was the core secret that the Summer Wind Ancient Nation had explored. But this 90% of information had already surpassed several ancient nations like the Towering Sky Ancient Nation and Moonflower Ancient Nation. After all, Emperor Summer had many avatars and had explored deep into the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. Oh, Broken Teeth Mountain Range! Dongbu Shuiying felt his horizons broadening. The Broken Teeth Mountain Range occupied a huge area. It was roughly equivalent to 3 Summer Wind Ancient Nations. Even though it looked like a chain of mountains on the surface, in reality the moment one entered the Broken Teeth Mountain Range, one would enter an incredibly vast and unique space. This unique space hid many unique worlds. And every world had several natives of the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. Other than these hidden worlds, in this vast unique space, the most conspicuous thing was the sky-floating islands. Every sky-floating island was connected to a chain of mountains. The sky-floating islands covered a huge area. Almost every sky-floating island was filled with dangers. The bigger the sky-floating island, the more dangerous it was. Natives, Death Destruction Clan, low-graded chaotic origin life forms. Dongbu Shuiying pondered. Within the Broken Teeth Mountain Range, there were many hidden worlds with natives living in them. When these worlds were added together, they formed an incredibly powerful force, the natives. The natives of the Broken Teeth Mountain Range were incredibly powerful. And the Death Destruction Clan and low-graded chaotic origin life forms practically resided on the sky-floating islands. Of course, the environment of the sky-floating islands contained all sorts of dangers too. But there were opportunities amidst the dangers. According to rumors, the natives of the Broken Teeth Mountain Range have a thin strand of chaotic origin lifeform bloodline within them. Swordmaster said, hence, it is relatively harder for them to reproduce. But every single one of them is incredibly powerful. Even their newborn babies are at the Void God level. The monarchs of every world are usually at the unparalleled level. Some of the monarchs of these worlds are exceptionally powerful. Some are even stronger than Undying Underworld Emperor. Fortunately, the Broken Teeth Mountain Range has a restriction left behind by Yuan. Those natives who are too powerful could not leave. Dongbu Shuiying and Barbaturin nodded. A unique tribe. They all had the bloodline of a chaotic origin lifeform? Extreme Knight Primogenitor and Realm Beast King had once entered some of the worlds in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range and devoured the natives. Hence, the natives of these worlds are filled with hostility towards us cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land. At the very least they are wary of us. Few are friendly. Swordmaster said. These two madmen. Dongbu Shuiying also understood what Extreme Knight Primogenitor and Realm Beast King did from the intelligence provided by Swordmaster. Realm Beast King loved to devour. Extreme Knight Primogenitor was very interested in the chaotic origin bloodline of the natives. Hence he would also eat too much, forming a huge enmity. When other cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land entered, it would be troublesome. The Death Destruction Clan and low-graded chaotic origin lifeforms usually reside in the Sky-Floating Islands. And the Sky-Floating Islands are also the place where we have to search for treasures and opportunities. Swordmaster said, there are very few low-graded chaotic origin lifeforms, and it is rare for us to meet them. Instead, the Death Destruction Clan has a huge population. They are the two largest tribes in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range along with the natives. It was indeed a secret that there were low-graded chaotic origin lifeforms in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. But from what was known, the reason why they were called low-graded chaotic origin lifeforms was because their strength was limited. Firstly, their control of energy was crude. Secondly, unparalleled existences could easily survive. It was only these lowest-graded chaotic origin lifeforms that Yuan was too lazy to care about. He simply allowed them to live in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. Instead, it was the Death Destruction Clan and the natives. Due to their huge numbers, the apex existences were the truly terrifying ones. Unparalleled existences could fall. The natives are very similar to us cultivators. Previously, that Starlight World Master even came to help you. Sword Master said, even though they are guarded against us, we can still interact with them. The Death Destruction Clan has lower intelligence. In their opinion, any cultivator can only be eaten or not eaten. There is no way for them to negotiate with us. Because we are directly heading to the Sky-Floating Islands, our opponents are mainly the Death Destruction Clan. Furthermore, we will definitely meet quite a few members of the Death Destruction Clan. Emin, Dongbu Shuiying and Barbaturin slightly nodded. This time I plan on heading to this Sky-Floating Island. 2 batches of Cosmos gods from my Tsang clan have died there. Hence this time I plan on exploring the island. Swordmaster said, I have prepared everything. I can set off any time. Like those with avatars. Like Southern Cloud King and others, most were willing to venture into the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. At the most, they would just lose their avatars. And if they were lucky, they could reap a huge harvest. Haha, I have many avatars and can set off any time. Dongbu Shuiying chuckled. I am alone. Naturally, I can leave any time. Barbaturin added. Alright, after drinking this wine we will set off today. Sword Master was filled with excitement. This was the first time he was going to explore the Broken Teeth Mountain Range after reaching the final realm. Currently he was considered unparalleled. With this strength he was qualified to explore the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. Even though there were quite a few unparalleled existences dying in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range, the Broken Teeth Mountain Range was ultimately vast, and it was not easy to meet such terrifying dangers. Dongbu Shuiying did not care about it. He had many avatars, and this was for the sake of tempering himself through life and death. It was for the sake of accelerating his breakthrough and stepping into the final realm. Chapter 12-14. So. A male carrying a god sword, a huge human-shaped insect wrapped in a black robe, and a white-robed young man appeared above the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. The mountain range is continuous and boundless. Dongbu Shuiying and the other two looked downwards. They could feel the space beneath them distorting. Let's go down. The 3 of them flew down together. As they got closer, the space became more distorted. Who? Dongbu Shuiying and Barbaturin revealed looks of curiosity. They felt as if they had entered another world, because the Supreme Law had undergone a transformation. The supreme law that originally enveloped the entire realm Heart Great Land had become a different supreme law in the depths of the Broken Tooth Mountain Range. Unique. When Dongbo Shuiying and the other two entered the inner space of the Broken Tooth Mountain Range, the mountain ranges they saw previously had turned into sky-floating islands. The space was vast and vast. Many sky-floating islands floated in the boundless space. In the Broken Tooth Mountain Range world, only the sky-floating islands are dangerous. Like this boundless space in the many hidden worlds, there are no dangers in itself. Swordmaster chuckled. The sky-floating island in front of us is code-named Ying 3975. He knew the accurate reference point. Swordmaster, Dongbo Shuiying and Barbaturin immediately teleported forward. Even though they were careful, they teleported over a dozen times before reaching their destination. Ying 529. Swordmaster and the other two stood in the void looking at an enormous sky-floating island ahead. We have arrived. The sky-floating island had a diameter of more than 150 billion kilometers. It was considered one of the smaller sky-floating islands in the Broken Tooth Mountain Range world. The two of you have never been to a sky-floating island before. Let me remind you again that the dangers in the Broken Tooth Mountain Range lie within these sky-floating islands. Swordmaster solemnly said, "In a while, we will proceed according to what we discussed previously." Amen. Dongbo Shuiying and Barbaturin did not dare to be careless. The three exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. So. They then flew towards the sky-floating island. On the floating island there was a continuous mountain range. If one were to look at it from the outside, this mountain range would seem to be connected to the other mountain ranges. Yet when he entered the Broken Tooth Mountain Range world, it was such a peculiar scene. What a strange aura. As they flew closer, Dongbo Shuiying's expression changed slightly. The entire floating island was emitting an extremely cold and gloomy aura, which made him uncomfortable. Dongbo Shuiying's connection with his clone in the outside world was affected. I can't use the Great Destruction World Teleportation anymore? Great World Breaching Teleportation Technique. It was a heaven-defying movement technique. In the Broken Teeth Mountain Range, according to the intelligence, there were hidden worlds and vast voids where the natives lived. All of them could be reached through the Great World Breaching Transfer Technique. Even if he did not rely on the Great Destruction Realm Teleportation Technique, he could simply teleport to the boundary and return to the realm Heart Great Land. However, there was a mysterious repulsive power within the floating sky island that prevented him from using the Great World Breaching Teleportation Technique. Humph. With a thought, Dongbo Shuiying expanded his void domain, yet it was obstructed by this cold and gloomy energy. By relying on the void fire lotus flower, he could barely expand it to a region spanning 500,000 kilometers. He could no longer expand it any further. That cold and gloomy energy was vast and boundless. Furthermore, the suppression from this cold and gloomy energy had formed ripples visible to the naked eyes. How is it? Swordmaster and Barbaturin both looked at Dongbo Shuiying. I'm indeed suffering from a huge obstruction. My domain can only extend to 500,000 kilometers at most. Dongbo Shuiying transmitted. At the same time, with a thought, he unleashed the illusory realm world. The illusory realm world was a world created using soul energy. Dongbo Shuiying revealed a look of astonishment. The obstruction from the illusory realm world was clearly much weaker. But due to the existence of the cold and gloomy energy, the illusory realm world could only cover a region spanning 6 million kilometers at most. Dongbo Shuiying did not use his full strength to unleash other techniques such as desire and bewilderment. After all, it was just for the sake of scouting his surroundings. It was fine for him to expand the illusory realm world he could explore. The sky-floating island suppresses many law techniques. Swordmaster transmitted, we can't teleport here. But the Death Destruction Clan doesn't suffer from any suppression on the sky-floating island. They can easily teleport. Hence, we are at a disadvantage. The suppression on my illusory realm world is slightly weaker. I can maintain it at a region spanning 6 million kilometers. Dongbo Shuiying transmitted back. Swordmaster and Barbaturin revealed a look of joy. A region spanning 6 million kilometers was considered huge. I'll go scout the surroundings, Barbaturin said. He waved his hand, causing dozens of insects to fly out in all directions. Barbaturin sent his insects to scout the surroundings. Dongbo Shuiying naturally avoided Barbaturin and Swordmaster with his illusory realm world. As for Swordmaster, he was the strongest among the three of them. After all, not just Dongbua Shuiying or Swordmaster, they brought secret treasures with them. They were merely top-graded secret treasures. Even if they were unlucky and died in battle, they could afford to lose them. They had to bring their secret treasures with them because the stronger they were, the greater their chances of obtaining rare treasures and opportunities. I found the way. Barbaturin led the way. After all, Cosmos gods from the Tsang clan had come before. Hoo, there was a lump of white fog floating in the distance. The expressions of Dongbua Shuiying, Barbaturin, and Swordmaster changed slightly. According to the intelligence of the Cosmos god who came from the Tsang clan who lost an avatar, the spherical white fog on this sky-floating island had a frightening corrosive power. Cosmos gods who came into contact with it would instantly die. Even secret treasures would turn into powder upon coming into contact with it. One could see that the body of Final Realm Cosmos gods would most likely turn into powder upon coming into contact with it. This was absolutely one of the most frightening dangers on this sky-floating island. Naturally, as long as they avoided it, they would be fine. They continued moving forward. Because they could only fly slowly, it took them a long time to cross a distance of 5 billion kilometers. Along the way, they discovered quite a few environmental dangers. Dongbua Shuiying felt that these environmental dangers might not be deliberately created by Yuan. After all, the effects of the trial were limited. It might be that Yuan teleported them over from other places. Amen? Dongbua Shuiying suddenly turned over. What happened? Barbaturin and Swordmaster were both startled. Death Disaster Clan. Dongbua Shuiying muttered. His illusory realm discovered a Death Disaster clansman with pitch-black skin that looked like a mutated beast. That Death Disaster clansman should have been observing them from afar. The moment he entered the region of Dongbua Shuiying's illusory realm, he immediately retreated in alarm. The Death Disaster clansman is starting to appear. Swordmaster transmitted, since we discovered the first one, I believe it won't be long before the first ambush occurs. Saying that, Swordmaster had already pulled out the God Sword on his back. Wielding the God Sword, Swordmaster's gaze was calm. He was on guard. An insect ancestor narrowed his eyes too. Even though he sent out some insects to investigate, he did not discover a single Death Disaster clansman at all. The three of them continued moving forward. Dongbua Shuiying would occasionally discover some Death Disaster clansmen appearing. These Death Disaster clansmen were easy to identify since their bodies were emitting a sinister aura of death. Dongbua Shuiying discovered almost all of them had pitch-black skin. I feel that they are observing their prey. They are observing us too. Dongbua Shuiying transmitted, I've already discovered 6 different Death Disaster clansmen. 5 of them have the appearance of mutated beasts, and 1 of them is in human form. He is even wearing a robe. Amen? Barbaturin suddenly turned to a direction with shock. What happened? Swordmaster and Dongbua Shuiying were both puzzled. Oh! A furious roar sounded from afar. A figure appeared in the sky. Looking around, his eyes were burning with a unique flame. With a glance, he saw Dongbua Shuiying and the other 2 hiding in the forest. So, that figure rapidly arced across more than 50 million kilometers before arriving above Dongbua Shuiying and the others. This was a red-haired male filled with killing intent. He looked down at Dongbua Shuiying and the other 2 with a strand of vigilance in his eyes. He growled, "Cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land? Natives?" Dongbua Shuiying and Swordmaster naturally recognized him. Big Brother Feishue, Brother Bewitching Sword, there is a camp not too far away. There are 16 natives there. Barbaturin transmitted over, they are extremely careful. The subordinates I sent were discovered by them the moment they discovered them. They should be natives who came to the sky-floating island to temper themselves. Dongbua Shuiying guessed. Swordmaster instead laughed. You all came to the sky-floating island to temper yourself? We're also here to adventure. Chapter 12-15. The red-haired male had a powerful aura. Standing in midair, he looked down at Dongbua Shuiying and the other 2. Of the 3, Barbaturin, who was in the form of a human-shaped big insect, had a strange aura. The final realm insect's aura was wicked and tyrannical, and it wasn't easy to offend him. Swordmaster was an expert who had reached the final realm of destruction. Naturally, he had a sharp aura too. And Dongbua Shuiying did not disguise himself. Instead, his aura was the weakest. Your Highness, judging from their aura, 2 of the 3 seem to be at the final realm. The red-haired male transmitted back. How should we deal with them? Two seem to be at the final realm? Are there any unparalleled existences from Realm Heart Great Land? At that moment, many transmissions were transmitted over. The most famous unparalleled existences in Realm Heart Great Land aren't among them. The red-haired male transmitted back. Our intelligence is from a very long time ago. Who knows if there might be some final realm cultivators in Realm Heart Great Land who have obtained a supreme graded secret treasure. In my opinion, we should befriend these 3 cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land and let them become our helpers. We should still be careful. Some cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land are wicked. That Realm Beast King and Extreme Knight Primogenitor are rumored to have devoured countless sentient beings. We have already fallen to this stage. If this continues, our Blood Flame clan will most likely be wiped out. This time we must get this sexual relation fruit, so that your highness can become stronger. As long as your highness becomes stronger, only then can we snatch back our world, and only then can our Blood Flame clan continue existing. The sexual relation fruit is miraculous to us, but it isn't useful to the cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land. They won't risk their lives to compete with us for it. Alright. Befriend them and let them become our helpers. Ying, you should go and interact with them. Yes, your highness. Very soon he made his decision. Saying it was slow, but in reality the transmission happened very quickly. A figure arced through the sky and flew over. This was a beautiful girl with silver hair. She wore a silver armor with red patterns on it. They are cultivators from the Realm Heart Great Land. They aren't our enemies. There's no need for Big Brother to be nervous. The silver-haired woman spoke a few words to the red-haired man before descending near Dongbu Shui Ying's group of 3. The silver-haired woman smiled and said, "My name is Ying. This time our team entered this floating island to search for treasures. Furthermore, the sky-floating island is filled with danger. The Death Destruction clan is even crazier. If we work together to deal against the Death Destruction clan, we will be able to walk further in the sky-floating island. We will also have a greater chance of acquiring treasures. What do the 3 of you think?" Dongbu Shuiying, Swordmaster, and Barbaturin looked at each other and quickly conversed. Within the Broken Teeth Mountain range. Even though the Death Destruction clan and the natives were huge, the natives were very similar to the cultivators outside. They had high intelligence too. Even though they were guarded against the outside world, they could still work together. The greatest difference between the natives and those in the outside world was that the natives had a strand of chaotic origin lifeform bloodline in their bodies. Very well, in terms of understanding of the floating islands, you are definitely above us. It is a good thing that we can work together. Swordmaster took the initiative to say, "My clan's majesty and the others are not too far away. Please." The silver-haired woman smiled as she led the way. Very soon, both parties met. Even though Dongbu Shuiying and the others were prepared to temper themselves, the Broken Teeth Mountain range did not lack danger. It was also a good thing that they could work together with the natives. In reality, some natives were not willing to work together with the cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land. Both parties met and conversed briefly. Dongbu Shuiying and the others also knew that the leader of this team was a leader called Blood Flame Ji. The others addressed this Blood Flame Ji as His Majesty. The Death Destruction clan has their own territory. His Royal Highness Shui Yenji was a tall and handsome young man wearing a green robe. He introduced with a smile, "If we intrude into their territory, we will definitely be ambushed by them. Of course, if we are strong enough, they will fear us. We will continue heading towards the core region of the sky-floating island. If you feel any danger, you can leave anytime. Since we came here, we won't be afraid of danger. At most, we will just lose a fleshy body," Barbaturin said with a low and hoarse voice. "Good." His Royal Highness Shui Yenji immediately cheered. The other members of his team looked at Dongbu Shuiying and the other 2. They seemed to have become much friendlier. This is truly delightful. The few of us admire the cultivators from Realm Heart Great Land the most for having avatars, allowing us to charge forward no matter how terrifying the danger is. His Royal Highness Shui Yenji sighed. In our Realm Heart Great Land there are very few who have avatars. Dongbu Shuiying said. It is still better than us. We want to cultivate avatars, yet we have no way to do so. His Royal Highness Shui Yenji had a complex expression. If he had avatars he would not have fallen to this stage. Swordmaster said, "Can we set off now? Let's go. Shall we lead the way?" His Royal Highness Shui Yenji said. Sure. Swordmaster, Barbaturin, and Dongbu Shuiying did not object to it. Both parties proceeded forward together. His Royal Highness Shui Yingji and his team of 16 walked at the front. They were also leading the way. Dongbu Shuiying and the other two walked behind. Both parties were on high alert. They were mainly wary of the Death Disaster clan. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 hours passed. The illusory realm, maintained by Dongbu Shuiying, naturally avoided the 16 natives to prevent any conflicts. During these 2 hours, Dongbu Shuiying discovered more Death Disaster clansmen spying on them. The three of you must be careful. We have previously fought with the Death Disaster clan, and they know we are not to be trifled with. You're new here. Hence, the new ambush might be directed against you. His Royal Highness Shui Yingji turned around and said to Dongbu Shuiying and the other two, "Many thanks, Your Highness. We will be careful." Swordmaster smiled in reply. Just as he finished speaking, 6 black figures suddenly appeared from the ground. They directly surrounded Dongbu Shuiying, Barbaturan, and Swordmaster. They came too suddenly. When the illusory realm sensed them, the Death Disaster clan had already arrived. Scram! All of a sudden, insect ancestor Ba Tuachin roared out. His mouth had strangely enlarged, and a furious roar that brought along a strange ripple spread out, causing the 6 black shadows to tremble slightly from the impact of the ripple. Furthermore, the black robe on Barbaturan's body abruptly dispersed. It turned into many insects that surrounded and attacked the 6 black figures. Every black figure suffered from the attacks of many insects. Every black figure had the appearance of a black-skinned mutated beast. They brought along a dark aura of death. Final realm insect beasts had strange and unpredictable techniques. Ever since he transacted with Undying Underworld Emperor, Barbaturan had become much stronger. The 6 black figures knew that things were amiss. They actually turned into black fog and dissipated in the void. A robe can turn into so many insects? Just by relying on these insects, he could force the 6 Death Disaster clansmen to retreat? The 16 natives were startled when they saw that. The technique of Barbaturan was different from what they knew of cultivators. This made them no longer dare to underestimate the slightly ugly Barbaturan. They were not to be trifled with. That time when Undying Underworld Emperor attacked Ba Tuachin, he used his robe to defend against it. Dongbu Shuiying thought, that robe is undamaged too. Is it a secret treasure? Or is it formed from insects? After all, he was the first cultivator in the history of Realm Heart Great Land who fused with a final realm insect beast. Even Dongbu Shuiying and Swordmaster did not understand much about Ba Tuachin. Haha, insect ancestor is extraordinary. His Royal Highness Shui Yingji chuckled, but this is merely a contact. In order to understand your strength, the Death Disaster clan has only sent some weaker subordinates. The truly powerful ones have yet to act. Following that, the team continued moving forward. Traversing through the sky-floating island, the natives understood the dangers of the natural environment better than Dongbu Shuiying and the others. Hence, they easily avoided the dangers along the way. Haha! An ugly face formed from a lump of black fog appeared above. It looked down at the team and let out an ear-piercing laughter. That laughter directly impacted the soul. That laughter was filled with malice and killing intent. It's here. Dongbu Shuiying, Barbaturan, and Swordmaster could feel an immense threat coming from that black fog face. At that moment, dozens of black figures appeared from the surface. More than 80% of them were from the 16 natives team. Only 5 remained. 3 humanoid Death Disaster clansmen and 2 beast-like Death Disaster clansmen attacked Dongbu Shuiying and the other 2. Chapter 12:16. That enormous black foggy face immediately pounced towards His Royal Highness Shui Yingji, who had a good temper. Hong! His Royal Highness Shui Yingji's body was suddenly covered in red flames. His aura abruptly surged. He punched out with his fist, causing the void ahead to burn and distort. The black foggy face turned into a black-robed young girl. That black-robed young girl forcibly resisted against the impact of the flames and killed her way over to His Royal Highness Shui Yingji. She directly sent a claw over. The hands of this black-robed young girl were pitch black and huge. They were as sharp as blades. There were also more than 20 Death Disaster clansmen surrounding and attacking the other natives. These natives naturally formed a combat formation of 3 and immediately faced the enemies. Dongbu Shuiying was the most relaxed among those present. He was not in a rush to act. Instead, he was leisurely watching the entire battlefield. This native Royal Highness is close to unparalleled existences in terms of power. But his techniques are much cruder, and he is far from being comparable to cultivators. Dongbo Shuang judged. His strength was strong, but he lacked too much in the laws and profound mysteries. He should be around 20 to 30% of Eternal Night Primogenitor's strength? The other 15 subordinates were not weak, especially when the 3 of them worked together to form a combat formation. The weakest combat formation had the strength of a Final Realm expert, and the strongest was close to the standard of that Royal Highness. No wonder they dared to come to the sky-floating island. This team is quite strong. But Sword Master should be able to suppress them all by himself, Dongbo Shuang thought. Over at his side, 5 Death Disaster clansmen charged over. Insect Ancestor Ba Tua Chen's black robe flew out, once again transforming into insects that engulfed those Death Disaster clansmen. It's just that this time it did not work. The leading Death Disaster clansman was an ugly black-robed old man. His body warped into an enormous black head. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the insects in one gulp. The insect struggled again. After the giant head closed its mouth, it kept twisting its head, trapping those insects. Amen? A murderous light flashed in the eyes of Barbaturin. He flapped his wings and charged over. So. The other 4 figures charged toward the Sword Master and Dongbo Shuang. Humph. Sword Master softly shook his head. He could discern that the strongest among this batch of Death Disaster clansmen was the one who fought with Blood Flame Ji. Although the 5 beasts surrounding them were quite powerful, they were nothing in front of the Sword Master. Chi, the sword light was beautiful and resplendent. It was as if many light rays were arcing through the air, arcing through many Death Disaster clansmen. The Sword Master's sword light was very gentle. It seemed he wanted to rely on this to understand the strength of every member of the Death Destruction clan. Nevertheless, the bodies of these Death Disaster clansmen were still cut by the sword lights. Some turned into fog and escaped into the ground. Some were weaker and did not manage to escape in time. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the 4 Death Destruction clansmen died and the other 2 fled. Seeing this, the giant head that was trapping countless insects was also shocked. It couldn't hold on any longer and immediately dissipated, turning into a black fog that burrowed into the ground and escaped. Ah. No, die. As Dongbo Shuang and the others were having an easy time dealing with the Death Destruction clansmen, the natives were the ones suffering the main attacks from the Death Destruction clansmen. Under the joint attack of more than 20 Death Destruction clansmen, 2 combat formations of the natives had already collapsed. These 2 combat formations had a total of 6 members. Some were heavily injured and killed, though there were also some who erupted in madness. Break. One of the natives had suddenly expanded his aura amidst his madness. His techniques had also greatly improved, reaching the final realm. His survival capabilities had also greatly improved. Shio. Sword Master frowned when he saw that. Those 2 combat formations had collapsed too quickly, and he did not have the time to save them. He immediately waved out the God Sword in his hand. The sword light arced through the sky, attacking those Death Destruction clansmen. Sword Master's attacks seemed weaker than His Royal Highness Shui Yenji. Nevertheless, his techniques were incredibly profound, and the effects were more terrifying. Cultivators had a huge advantage in terms of profound techniques, much less that Sword Master had cultivated a supreme graded secret importation. Retreat. That black-robed young girl who was fighting with His Royal Highness Shui Yenji immediately let out a sharp howl when she saw that. Hoo, all the Death Destruction clansmen turned into black fog and tunneled underground. In terms of escaping ability, the outsiders could not compare to the Death Destruction clansmen living within the sky-floating islands. The Death Destruction clansmen could easily teleport and burrow underground here. And Dongbo Shuang and the others could not teleport or burrow underground. Unless they were powerful enough to kill the Death Destruction clansmen within a short period. Otherwise, it would be hard for them to kill a single Death Destruction clansman. The Death Destruction clansmen have retreated. They have left. The natives heaved a sigh of relief. It was just that the atmosphere was slightly sorrowful. Because they had lost 4 of their companions in just a short moment. Paragon Master Bewitching Sword, many thanks for your help. Otherwise, our losses would be even greater. His Royal Highness Shui Yenji walked over with gratitude. At the same time, his gaze toward Sword Master was different. His subordinates were also looking at Sword Master with a strand of respect. Clearly they were much friendlier towards Dongbo Shuang and the others. Previously, they thought that there might be unparalleled existences amongst the 2 who seemed to be at the final realm. That was merely a guess. But after the previous battle, Blood Flame Ji and the others understood that this Paragon Master Bewitching Sword, had surpassed the strongest His Royal Highness Shui Yinji of their surviving Blood Flame World clan. He should most likely be at the unparalleled level. They naturally had to befriend a helper of this level. This way they would have a greater chance of acquiring the Yin Spirit Fruit. Paragon Master Bewitching Sword was at the unparalleled level. That insect ancestor wasn't someone to be trifled with either. As for that white-robed young man, Great Paragon Feishue, they knew that the great paragons in Realm Heart Great Land were merely second-level cosmos gods, and should be the weakest among the three. Since we are moving together, we are comrades. Naturally, we have to save each other. It's just that I am slightly late. Swordmaster said. They are not strong enough, yet they are willing to take the risk? Barbaturan frowned. With their strength, they shouldn't be of much help to His Royal Highness Shui Yinji, right? Why are you sending them to their deaths? This isn't sending them to their deaths. This is training. Even though 4 of us died, Feishue Lin has once again awakened his bloodline, greatly increasing his strength. Those natives retorted. When Dongbu Shuiying and the other 2 heard that, they could not help but feel puzzled. It wasn't that they knew nothing about the natives. Given the long years that this Summer Wind ancient nation explored, they had a deep understanding of the natives. The natives were scattered across many hidden worlds. Each world represented a clan. Because they could awaken their bloodlines and increase their strength, it was rumored that they had the bloodline of a chaotic origin lifeform. Of the methods to awaken one's bloodline, one had to temper oneself amidst life and death situations. Under a true life and death situation, the chances of awakening one's bloodline would be greater. But many would still fall before death. Hence, those who entered the sky-floating islands risked their lives were usually very few. It was fine if an entire team of cultivators entered the sky-floating islands if they were strong. They had a higher chance of surviving. But those who were weaker could barely reach the final realm strength even when 3 of them worked together in a combat formation. It was too dangerous for them to enter the sky-floating islands. The cultivators in the Realm Heart Great Land had avatars. It was fine if they were not afraid of losing their avatars. But there was no need for the natives to do so. We are here to temper ourselves. His Royal Highness Shui Yinji simply said, since we chose to temper ourselves, we are naturally prepared to die. This time, with Paragon Master Bewitching Sword around, we will be much safer. But I have to remind you all, the strength of Paragon Master Bewitching Sword will make the Death Destruction Clan feel fear. The weaker Death Destruction Clan members would not dare to come again. But this sky-floating island has many groups of Death Destruction Clan members. The stronger they are, the more central they would be. Even though their intelligence is ordinary, they can still communicate with each other. They know our strength. Then the next time they come, it will be more dangerous. Even with Paragon Master Bewitching Sword's strength, he might not be able to protect us. Blood Flame Ji said, what we can do now is to hurry over before they start another ambush. All right. Your Majesty, since you all understand the sky-floating island better, you should hurry over. Swordmaster said. Let's not delay any further. Let's set off now. We have to travel faster. Blood Flame Ji brought everyone along at high speed this time. He knew the strength of Dongbu Shuiying's side, and was not worried that they could not catch up. Dongbu Shuiying and the other 2 remained behind. Have you heard what that His Majesty said? This time, the Bewitching Sword has revealed its strength. The next time the Death Destruction Clan appears, even the Bewitching Sword might not be able to resist against them. Barbaturan transmitted. We have never thought of sweeping across the entire Death Destruction Clan. What we want to do is to survive the pursuit of the Death Destruction Clan. It would be even better if we could get some treasures too. Dongbu Shuiying transmitted with a smile. Snow Eagle, you are our trump card. Perhaps I might not be able to resist against them in a while, and we might have to rely on your killing move. Sword Master transmitted. We will know how effective this killing move is in a while. Dongbu Shuiying transmitted back. Big Brother Feishue, I see that this team of natives seems to treat you as the weakest amongst the 3 of us. But they do not know that I am the weakest. Barbaturan transmitted with a smile. They were all feeling relaxed. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.